sold my soul to the bottle. Still none of my friends have left me yet. I'm the same man I was since the age of 13, and I've lived my life with no regrets. If you're looking for some freedom, all it takes is 10 drinks minimum. If you're looking for rhyme or reason, all it takes is 10 drinks minimum.
All right. We are live on the interwebs. It is 10 drink minimum. It's Monday, Labor Day. That's the holiday that it is, James. James is like, what holiday is it? Labor Day.
Okay, I didn't know what holiday it was. All right.
Because James isn't labor. James has no labor in him. Is that right?
Pretty much. Yeah.
Okay, well. People can hear you today. I got you all dialed in today. So I'm here. Holly Ann is with us.
Hello.
We don't have a Billy today. We don't know where he is. He's MIA. Hopefully.
Maybe put some some milk cartons, maybe see if someone can give you a tip.
Oh, yeah. So in studio with us, we have, I don't know, I would have said from DWO, but I don't think that exists anymore.
No, I mean, not in its current state, but just as a professional wrestling as a whole, professional wrestling. So, yeah.
So you, from professional wrestling, the Trash King, Ray Basura.
I'm glad to be here. I've definitely heard about this show. I've seen a lot of your stuff around, and somehow we know just about, we're connected all over the city and had never really met until just this last week. And
isn't that weird, right?
Yeah.
And it's weird because, I was a fan of your work. I mean, there's definitely, a respect level up here. I've talked about you on this show before.
Yeah.
I haven't been actually probably have talked about you as the Trash King Ray Basura. But I mean, when you were with your previous incarnation of the tag team Brute 66, I've definitely talked about that on the show.
Well, and let us not forget that you took me to my first wrestling thing, and you were part of that.
Yeah.
We talked about him a whole lot.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. And one of the interesting things is that was at the last DWO show, maybe the last one forever, hopefully not. But there's you and Hobo Hank and Thunder, I think, are the only local people.
There's a few more. Let's see. Gino's also local.
He? Is he really? I didn't know that.
He's originally from California, and he's all over the place, but he is local. And then let's see, Mosh Pit Mike, obviously. He's
that's
local.
right.
Oh, yeah.
But so he was your old tag team partner. Mm-hmm. From what I hear now, I mean, he works for the JW. What is it? The
JCW.
JCW, and he's also the bodyguard for the Insane Clown Posse.
Kind of all encompassing. He's been doing a lot of stuff on their tour. He's been doing a lot of stage management. I mean, honestly, the guy just stays super busy. But he's been working with ICP very closely. He's spending a lot of time on their tours. The Gathering, he's out there wrestling for him. He's also one half of the JCW Tag Team Champions with Chuy Martinez. So I mean,
does that anger you? You're like, I could have been me.
No, not at all. It happened during a time whenever I was recovering from an injury, and obviously, Chuy Martinez, he's got way more experience. I mean, he's a hardcore legend in his own right. But whenever they teamed up, I think that they've had some of the craziest matches all over the country. So having them side by side, I think was a great fit, especially for JCW. And I enjoy the Juggalo culture, but I am not a Juggalo. I'm a Juggalo ally, if you will.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, no, and for JCW and for everything that's happening, I think the Psychopathic Soldiers was a great fit, and they're doing a lot of really good stuff. Yeah.
So let's get the plug out of the way, and we'll talk about it a little later. So you came over, we talked a little bit. This weekend on Netflix, there's a TV show called Traveling with My Dad. Is that correct?
Close.
It's Traveling with My Father. Traveling with My Father.
Yeah, so Jack Whitehall, this is going to be the third season. It's Jack Whitehall Travels to My Father. Yeah. Going to be airing this Friday, September 6th. And I don't know which episode we're on, but it is going to be an episode entirely dedicated to wrestling.
Oh, wow.
The company that I work for in Mesa, Arizona is Party Hard Wrestling, and that's the one where I'm the champion of the multiverse.
Wow. What?
And so they actually filmed out there. So we got to go out there and just dedicate a whole day to this. And it's technically, I guess, a comedy travel show. Jack Whitehall's a up and coming. I mean, he's a really big name in his own right there. But he was over in the UK, started coming over to the United States. He was in the Nutcracker movie that came out not that long ago.
Oh, okay.
He just was in the Jungle Cruise movie with The Rock that they were filming. He has a couple like different comedy specials he's doing. So he's really blowing up, and so it was a really big opportunity for me to be on it. But September 6th, that'll be airing on Netflix, and you guys definitely need to check it out. And I was brought in to like train him and show him how to like wrestle a little bit. I mean, we gave him the crash course in one day. So
gosh! Like he wrestled, or his father wrestled? I mean,
so his father was the manager, and I wrestled him. And his dad is pretty elderly. He's but that's like the whole premise of the show. His dad is this kind of like uptight aristocrat, doesn't like to be around anything loud or dirty. Like he likes the finer things in life. And so the first 2 seasons was them traveling like Europe and Asia, going all these different places, and kind of
now it's here, yeah.
And then so the 3rd season was in the U.S. And so an indie wrestling show, I think, kind of fits all those terms as far as being dirty and loud. And so I think it's a good.
We
fit
could give
for
a shout out to Thunder. He's watching it. He's actually watching live right now.
Hello, Thunder.
We know who's watching.
You
know.
Oh, cheese me.
That's pretty awesome. So you, whenever you wrestle, like you now portray this character called the Trash King. I mean, is that how a good way to describe it? I mean,
yeah.
So you have, and I was trying to describe this to my friends over the weekend. I was like, yeah, he comes out, and they're like, well, what's a trash king? Like a hobo? And I was like, no. Like he's a guy that like he dresses like a king of like a dump, I guess, And then you have minions, and they dress like knights, where they wear like cardboard armor, and like what do you call that? The bag, like the potatoes come in the.
Yeah, so I started, this also came while I was injured too, back in 2017.
I'm going to show a picture of this, yeah.
Yeah, back in 2017, I tore my PCL, my ACL, and my meniscus, so it's just like a whole triple threat. I had a complete tear of the PCL.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the ligament completely was detached, and then my ACL and meniscus were a pretty minor tear, but it's still pretty difficult, and so I had to spend some time off. I had to rehab, and so it took some time for me to be able to look at what my character was and try to figure out like what I could do with it to elevate it, and have something new and fresh to come, and something that I'd never seen before, but also something that kind of paid homage to a time in wrestling that I was a fan of, that I grew up in. I grew up watching. Well, I didn't actually start getting into wrestling until like probably about mid-2000s, and that's just because I didn't have anybody that really presented it to me in the right way. But I did grow up where everybody's telling each other to suck it on the playground.
Oh, sure.
Or, you can't. I don't think that you could live in the '90s without like, at least knowing a little bit of like what was going on. As far as a lot of these big characters in the Attitude Era, a lot of these like larger than life characters from like the '90s. So that's kind of what I wanted to build with my character. The name that I've been using since 2010, whenever I started, was Ray Basura, and in Spanish, loosely translated, Ray Basura is Trash King. So Trash King, Ray Basura.
Is that right?
Yeah, just Trash King. Yeah. So.
Like if you go to the zoo and you see the trash cans, you see basura all over everything.
Dude, I bet your elementary was just hell.
Well, that's
trash.
That's not my real last name, luckily.
Oh, okay.
Unfortunately, sorry to ruin anyone.
Oh, damn it! I got all excited. I was that kid on the playground that would have found that out.
Oh, that's okay. They had plenty of other things to call me. Yeah, I mean, they may have still called me that, but not for my name. Trash King started from the name, and so I wanted to take it more literal, and I wanted to just this whole idea of taking my opponents and disposing them, throwing them away. It just was a lot of fun, and so then I reached out to some people that had been training, and I was like, hey, I really think that having some like squires would help really put this gimmick over.
Yeah, like how do you get a Trash King squire?
So like an entourage, and so I reached out to my buddy Jeremy Laughlin. He's a film guy. He does a lot of like costume work, and I drew up a bunch of pictures, and we just like really hashed out what I wanted these things to look like. And like you were saying, like I wanted it to look like I was just like grabbing just like old curtains or like potato sacks and just like sewing them together like by like just like a lamp. And like so we really put all this stuff together, and we started with the cardboard helmets with them, and like we just get like pizza boxes and just like he had like diaper boxes, and he's just like folding them into a helmet. And then like after a couple of shows, the sweat would just make these things like fall apart. And so we're like hanging them up to dry. So we're like, okay, wrap them in duct tape. So we wrapped them in duct tape, and I thought it looked cooler, but again, they're just getting really like soggy. They wouldn't hold together. And so I reached out to an armor maker, and he made me actual helmets out of compression tanks. So they have like these propane tanks like on their head pretty much, and they had to like put like this high density foam. And I think it's just like over time, just we keep building on it, and it's just become more and more fun. I really enjoyed it, and I get a lot of good feedback from people that see it, and I just that's the whole idea is I want something that whenever you see it.
With
oh
you?
yes, I did. I made sure to bring the crown.
I need to take a picture in that later. Yeah. It's exciting.
It's pretty awesome, actually. Yeah.
Originally, it did have bottle caps attached to it, and over time, from just getting bumped around, they'd pop off, and I think it just kind of added to it. But it's this is actually AC parts. I went to Lowe's and found a like an attachment to like the ductwork that it goes to.
Oh shit! Yeah, that's interesting. So you're like in the store, and they're like, "Can I help you find anything, sir?" No, I'll know it when I see it. Well, what are you working on? Making a crown? And they're like, huh.
Almost everything in our stuff is repurposed, and luckily I didn't go dumpster diving for a lot of it, but anytime that I could find like something that we could use in there, a lot of thrift store shopping.
Wow.
Things like that, but that was the whole premise. I just really liked the idea of this character. They would just throw their opponents in the trash, throw them, and then I wanted to have this like Mad Max feel meets kind of like a Renaissance character, and well,
I think you did it. Yeah, I think you did that for sure. Yeah.
Well, the Squires were just the next step, and I felt I used to watch A Knight's Tale. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that.
Okay,
one, but I used to watch that movie over and over whenever I was like growing up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like. I always liked his herald, like that, like the guy who played the Vision. He is like he go out and give him this like huge introduction. He'd like build him up like he's like the best thing in the world. And I was like, I need somebody that can do that, but the opposite. I need a guy who can go up there and build me up, but make everybody hate them.
Oh yeah.
And that's whenever I was like thinking as I need somebody that's a fan of wrestling, but somebody's not afraid of a microphone, and that's whenever I reached out to Rusty Rutherford.
Oh, that's right.
And so I went and bought him a drink, and I'm like, hey man, like I don't have anything showing you this character that I'm trying to build. I don't have anything. I was like, but this is what I'm trying to do. This is the idea. And I was like, if you can give me some time, I was like, we'll debut it whenever it's time. And I was like, just, hopefully you like it. And he's like, I'm on board. So I got him his costume, and he jumped in, both feet, and he...
Well, you did like vignettes.
Yeah. We started some light vignettes. And actually, if you go...
You didn't think I knew that, did
you?
No,
if you go further back, some of the early vignettes were just me and the Squires. Right. It was before Rusty was in. But once he's in there... and Rusty's just so good on the mic. If you guys haven't had a chance to check him out, he's all over town. You guys can find him on Facebook. I know you guys.
Oh, yeah.
I was going to say, I know him pretty well.
You guys have heard of Rusty,
Rusty's
right?
been
Everyone
on the
in this
show,
room has heard him once. No. People watching, definitely check out Rusty. I think you guys are very familiar.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's been on the show before.
So I do have a question for you. So when you are about to go to a wrestling show... Do you get into character ahead of time, or does it kind of happen when you step into the ring?
As far as hating the Squires, I start immediately when they show up at my house. I feel like I really start getting into like the mentality of like what I'm gonna get into once I get to the venue. Once I start looking, like I get a chance to kind of see the ring, get a feel for like what we're doing, and it's always a good idea to kind of get in there and feel what the ropes are like the height of the ring. Mm-hmm. And honestly, that's the neglecting to do that is what I think caused my injury back in 2017.
Oh shit! Yeah, okay.
I went to a venue. I just like fucked around all day and didn't even get in the ring, and then I went to go do like a really simple move off the apron, and the ring was much higher than I had anticipated for, and my leg was locked whenever I hit the ground, and like my knee slightly bent backwards, and like I hit the ground, and you know, all the adrenaline's pumping. It's a death match. There's all these weapons around. It's crazy, and literally this is like 2 minutes into the match. And I was like, oh, something's really bad. I felt something pop. I go to stand up, and I'm like, okay, just walk it off. And then, like, I go to put my weight on it, and my leg just falls out from under me, and I hit the ground. And so I had to, like, tell the referee instantly. I was like, hey, I am done. I was like, I can't do anything else. And so like I had to essentially try to like get myself like away from like the action and everything, but we did end up finishing the match like without my involvement, or at least with minimal involvement.
Right.
But
how did you tell I mean, did you do the double arms cross?
Well,
or?
I actually finished the match.
Yeah,
wow.
And so I wrestled probably about another 10 minutes on the injury, and that was
Wow.
probably not the smartest decision I made.
Goodness.
But you know, those people paid a lot of good money to see it, and the company paid a lot of good money to have me there.
Yeah.
And you know, it's just like I said, adrenaline.
and it's
Wow.
part of it. I have a question for you.
Yeah.
What is wrong with you?
You know, I ask myself that all the time. You know, it's almost 10 years now that I've spent beating up my body for money. Sometimes good money, sometimes not such good money.
No. A lot of times it's maybe $20, right?
In the beginning, for sure.
Yeah.
There's a lot of times. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Wrestler, the Mickey Rourke movie, but
Very much so. Yeah.
there's a lot of depictions in that film that are very, very accurate.
I had to sit there and just debate this with a friend of mine. He was like, it was a good movie, but it really seemed like it wasn't realistic. And I was like, well, realistic like how? He's like, no one would go and not stop. There you go. No one would go and like let someone hit them with light bulbs and all that shit for like $100. And I was like, they absolutely do that all the time.
do that all the time. Yeah,
That's a thing. And he was like, I don't believe that. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
So that's why whenever I have wrestlers on the show, I always go, what's wrong with you? Because like, and I did this. I actually asked I didn't ask that way to them, but when I interviewed Kane and Goldust and Lita, I kind of like phrased it a lot better. But I basically said, people who wrestle, they're on a different level than other people. I mean, they're on that like stuntman level. They're on like that extreme sports level where, you know, I always use this as the example. Whenever the Hardy Boys wrestled Edge and Christian on one of the pay-per-views, they were, you know, it was a cage match, and at some point they're outside the cage. Jeff Hardy gets on top of the cage, flips off to land on Edge or Christian, and then they move out of the way and he lands on his back on the concrete. Now, there was a point during that day where he goes, all right, I'll flip off the cage, you move, and I'll miss and hit the concrete. What the fuck is wrong with people? Like, nobody does that.
Why would you do that?
Hearing those conversations throughout the locker rooms is just something else. Like, honestly, there's so many phrases that get thrown around in a locker room that in anywhere else you'd be like, what the fuck did I just hear? Like, that, it's just so crazy that, you know, but I think in a way, you know, we're addicted to the thrill, just like you're saying, extreme sports. But just the being able to get that type of emotional reaction out of people.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you guys are comedians. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Like, whenever you have somebody by the balls and you can make them laugh, you can make them boo. Like, you can just like you just have them. Like, it's just something unlike anything else in the world.
I mean, once I saw a wrestling show up close, I was like, oh, I get it. You guys are like extreme athletes meets comedians, and that's what's wrong with them. Because I get that a lot too. I think Chris asks me all the time, what's wrong with me?
What's wrong with you?
For a number of reasons. But, you know, I think I do a lot of shows that I get $5.
Yeah.
And I don't care because it's my passion and that's what I love to do. But I can't imagine, like, bending my knee the wrong way and then coming back to do it, because with comedy I have never once bent my knee the wrong way.
Not physically. Emotionally,
yes, my heart gets ripped out sometimes, but
it's you know,
I think I would much rather get hit with a chair than to be stuck, be like, oh, how much time do I have left? How are you guys doing tonight?
So I've seen you wrestle, I mean, I would say 10 to 15 times.
Okay.
I don't know if you knew that.
I didn't know
Okay.
that many. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I went to like one of the years I went to about 9 of the shows, the DWO shows, and then the year before probably about 5. So I've seen some of your shows, and like when he was in this tag team, like not as much as, I don't know, you might as the Trash King character, but like when you were in the group Brute 66, you guys were the face, the good guy, the face. You guys were the good guys. You kind of like were like the enforcers a little bit of the league, but then you always seem to at some point or another in the year have a match where you just had to wrestle all over the arena, and barbed wire, carpet strips were involved. And you guys never do tables. You always do like plywood and barbed wire, all kinds of shit. So when you're doing those shows, like I watched one where you guys wrestled all over the place. You guys flew through barbed wire, wrapped around plywood, hit each other. Like, how do you feel the next day?
You definitely feel it. Like it's kind of like being in a car wreck. It's
PBR?
I'll take another one as well.
Yeah.
But
While
it's
you're up,
like
I'll
being
take
in
one
a
too.
car wreck. But it's controlled chaos, I guess. With in a sense,
Yeah.
if somebody were in a bar fight and
Right.
they unskilled were put through the damage that we were, they'd be in a hospital. But it's just years of training that we go through to be able to do this thing safe. And I use air quotes for that because there's not really, I guess, a way to.
You're minimalizing the impact.
Exactly. Oh, trying to take me
Oh,
out.
Jesus.
Well, jeez Louise.
Calm down, man.
But yeah, so I definitely feel it, and those types of matches, I have so much respect for people that make their career solely off of deathmatch, because there's guys like
that's
Schlack, out of the East Coast,
Necro Butcher.
Yeah, Necro Butcher, and these guys that do this like week in, week out, and I just cannot like.
Who's that new kid that's like in AEW, but he came from
Joey Janela, I think.
Yeah, and he does crazy shit like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, one thing I really respect and love that you guys always would do though is so people come out and they wrestle and they do all these crazy high spots. You guys do those, but you also would come out and you would really put in a real personal flair. Like I would like whenever they were Brute 66, one of the things that they would do is they would challenge the opponents to a 4-way face slap. You know what I mean? So you would take 4 chairs, and then they would sit across from each other, and then take turns slapping each other as hard as they could in the face.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's one of those that really gets a lot of, because a lot of people have this built in their head that like everything we're doing out there is just like we're barely touching each other. Or,
No.
Yeah, in other words,
No.
like, so
No.
a lot of times
No.
we get to go sit in the audience with them and just smack the shit out of somebody.
Yeah.
And like people go their whole lives and maybe never see somebody like right next to them just get their shit slapped out of them.
Oh, yeah.
And so whenever you're like that close, seeing the sweat fly off of somebody,
Yeah.
like you're like feeling it in your body, it's just like whoa. And people don't forget that, and it's just like that's what we go to do out there, is that we want people to leave there and remember, man, that was like
That was awesome.
Yeah.
Well, and then like another thing, like what I loved about indie wrestling, the DWO stuff, and also could be really bad, is like you guys would take the opponent, the heel out, and like bring them along the side, and then hold them, and you would let an audience member slap them across the chest, which could really be bad.
I honestly think that there's very little fans out there, and I guess I'll throw it out there, that could hit me harder than some of the opponents that like I've wrestled.
Right.
And it's just
Right.
because they're afraid to hurt their hands.
Right.
And it's
Yeah.
like you guys are so
Yeah.
scared to hurt your hand on my chest, or afraid that maybe I'm gonna punch you back or something.
Yeah.
And it's just like there's almost a stage fright they get in, and like honestly would probably let just about anybody in that instance like go for it, just because I don't think that they'd be able to do it. Like, there's a guy Funny Bone out of Las Vegas.
Yeah.
That guy chops harder than anybody like in the business that I've worked with.
Right.
And I just don't think that some rando somewhere would be able to chop me harder than like Funny Bone could.
Yeah. What do you think about like getting chopped by like a in his prime Ric Flair? You think that would be bad?
Oh, I mean, yeah, probably.
I would not want to do that.
Because I mean, I feel like everyone chops now because of Ric Flair.
Oh, of course. I mean, that's
Yeah.
really who I took it from. I don't know if you remember, they were doing Tough Enough, and I think it was whenever The Miz was actually on it, and there was some like MMA guy. I think his name was like Daniel Pewter or something.
Yes.
They ended up winning.
Yes.
And he got a chance to be like in the first couple entrants into the Royal Rumble. Do you remember that Royal Rumble that he was in?
Probably.
So I think it was Chris Benoit, Eddie Guerrero, and Hardcore Holly, and these guys just beat the shit out of him. They just took turns chopping him over and over.
Oh, yeah.
His chest was like,
And you know, that was like hazing pretty much.
yeah, exactly, like almost like an initiation of sorts. But
Welcome to wrestling, boy.
yeah, exactly.
I just remember one of those Tough Enoughs. They all had to take a chop from Paul White, which they're the Big Show, and I was just
my
like,
God.
oh god.
Yeah. And see, that's what I'm saying. Also, like, imagine
made me
being
hurt.
chopped by the Big Show,
No.
or
No.
being chopped by, Smiley.
Yeah.
Yes.
So there's
Hey,
some-
I have a pretty crazy chop. Not
nice.
gonna lie.
I mean, should we go for it? Let's.
I mean,
Oh.
I don't know.
oh,
Now I got
hell
that stage right.
I want to see this.
I mean, maybe after the break,
All right.
I'll
Okay.
chop you.
So there's some chatter. We got Neil Cutter says Ray is the man, and then Mary Max says that's my boy. So you got some shout outs.
Thanks, Mother.
Oh, is that your mom?
Yes.
Oh,
Aw,
Billy's
so
here.
cute. Billy.
Billy.
Billy's here. So Billy's gonna come on second hour. Okay. So what was I gonna say? So this once again, if you just joined in, we have pro wrestler to Trash King Ray Basura with us. He is going to be on the new season of Traveling with My Father on Netflix. So how did you get to do that? I mean, how did that happen?
Yeah, so Party Hard Wrestling is the company that they actually reached out to, and the owner, promoter, really the man that does everything, Brandon Brains, they found his website, they reached out to him, and they were like, this is kind of like the idea that we have. We want to get Jack Whitehall to go in, get trained, and end up wrestling somebody, and he's like, we want somebody who is able to be scary and mean, like to be that bad guy, but also somebody who's not actually going to go out there and hurt our star. Like, we need somebody who, that
Make it seem like it could happen.
yeah, exactly. But also like somebody that we want to work with too. Like, we don't want like an actual asshole.
Don't break the
Right.
talent.
Yeah, exactly. And so they were talking. He's like, Ray Basura is your guy, and so he had them reach out.
Oh, that's good. That's an honor, right?
Oh,
there.
I know, and I was blown away. It was a big honor, but also I had to interview for it too. So it wasn't just like given to me.
No.
And so I was going to LA to visit my family. And then I had to do a Skype interview, and these guys, yeah. And so I'm there.
That's interesting.
And I'm in, I have a
Go ahead and
button-up
flex
shirt.
for us, Ray. Go ahead and flex for us.
Well, see, I'm like in a button-up shirt, and I'm like dressed up really nice. I just got left my cousin's graduation, and so I'm there talking to him, and I'm just like really trying to lay on the charm because I was like, I want to be charming for him, and they started to like insinuate like, well, we don't know if like we want somebody who can be like tough and intimidating. So like, I guess I wasn't being like scary enough, and I guess over Skype like I couldn't tell that I'm 6'3" and like
Yeah.
pretty
When I
much
get in the ring
Yeah,
with
so-
you, I'm gonna break your face.
Well, that's pretty much what they needed me to do.
Yeah.
They're like, okay, like, shake it off. Like, I want to see you, like, in character.
Yeah.
And what we'll do is we're going to have, like, a meeting, like, either later today or something, and we're going to show them the tape, and we're going to show them this part here where you're talking, but then we're going to show them the part. And so I knew that there's a possibility they'd have me do this, so I just, like, had built this, like, promo in my head already. So, like, whenever it came time, I was like, oh, maybe I got something, like, on the fly. I'll just see, all right, and I just, like, go right into character, and I just lay it all out for him. He's like, whoa, this is so good. This is so good. And so after that, like, we started talking back and forth, and I had to send him some videos, and then we set the date for it. And like in the meantime, my girlfriend and I, we we were watching, the first 2 seasons because I wanted to see kind of like the format that they do, so I could try to.
You did your research.
Yeah,
you
exactly.
Just,
Yeah, and so when the time came, they had us film for the full day, but that was how, I guess, it led into that was Brandon really putting me over to them, and then they're all based out of England as well, so a lot of the times, like, I'd have to, email back and forth, and we were getting, weird messages because of the time difference and stuff, but I made sure to have my notifications on, because, the minute they'd email me, I'm like, oh, get back to them real quick, yeah.
Man, everyone in the chat is wanting you to chop it.
Okay. I will chop him in second hour. If you guys all stay.
Save it in second hour. So, this is what I think is funny. So, Terry Funk was in Over the Top, and he was in Roadhouse. Mm-hmm. What is your favorite wrestling? Those are some of my favorite cameos, by the way. What are your favorite wrestler shows up in a weird show cameo thing?
Oh man, that's hard to say. The one that got the biggest pop out of me, and it's not because it was a good movie by any means, but I don't know if you ever saw MacGruber.
Yes.
So he's trying to set up this team
just recently.
And,
Yes.
And so he's getting all these wrestlers. He's got Mark Henry, and I think he had Jericho.
Chris Jericho. Yeah.
And so he builds up this team of all wrestlers. I think it was the Great Khali also
Great
there.
Khali, yeah.
So I enjoyed that because I didn't expect it, and then
they all get killed.
It's they're all in a van and it just blows up and they're dead, and I don't know why, but it killed me.
Well, speaking of that, did you see that Jericho's coming with his band Fozzy?
Yeah. They're
September 22nd.
We're all very excited about this. I'm not going to be able to be there, and I'm very upset.
And he's the new AEW World Heavyweight
Hopefully
Champion.
he brings the belt, right?
Yeah. So, the World Heavyweight Champion is going to come to Launchpad and just lay down the metal for everybody,
Are you serious?
I'm very serious.
Oh, my God.
The band Fozzy, yeah. Trapped in Japan for 20 years, that whole fucking bullshit. So I'm with you. I always loved when I was a kid, though. So nowadays you get wrestling is so integrated in our society. Every other show will have a wrestler at some point on. But when I was a kid, though, I'm watching Over the Top, and he's all Terry Funk shows up, and Terry Funk when he would wrestle did not look like a big human being. Then he would be on TV with these actors, and you're just holy shit, Terry Funk is huge.
Right.
And I'm from Clovis, New Mexico. Terry Funk lived in Amarillo. Mm-hmm. I never got to meet him. My dad did, and it would just piss me off because my dad would tell stories about Terry Funk. And Terry Funk was doing some farm conference, we call expo. Mm-hmm. And he was sitting on a truck, and my dad walked up to him, and he's like, "Hey, where are you from?" And my dad's
you have such a good Funk impression.
and my dad goes, "Clovis," and he's all, "I don't go to Clovis no more. Ooh, rough." And you can tell he been in a fight. Yeah. And that he'd been in some fights there. So when I was a kid, I was like, "Dad, Terry Funk's on TV," and we would, he was in Roadhouse, which I love.
That's a great film.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's
also Funk is from a whole different era of wrestling where
hardcore
these guys were beating the shit out of people on a regular basis and just moving from town to town. So he's a perfect fit for that kind of stuff.
So I living in the eastern New Mexico, West Texas area, that is such a hotbed for all of pro wrestling. People don't get it. I went to basketball camp at West Texas A&M, mm-hmm. which is if you go back to the 80s, early 90s, 20% of all wrestlers came from that little ass shit Division II college.
Right.
It was Ted DiBiase, Barry Windham, Terry Funk. It just keeps going. You can just list 20 wrestlers. They just all were played football there, and they're well, I don't know what I'm going to do now. You should learn to wrestle. Right. And they just did. I don't know what it is,
In high school, I was very, very briefly I was in wrestling, and I was going to try to learn some techniques, and it was off season. I was training. I was really into it, and then it started getting close to like on season. I was like, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to wear that stupid singlet. And
you're talking about like actual wrestling,
Like
yeah.
wrestling.
So like I was like amateur wrestling and
amateur wrestling. Sorry.
Like really 100% the reason why I didn't actually go forward with this because I didn't want to wear the singlet. And here I am now, where you
wear a singlet.
Yeah, I wear a singlet, or even, sometimes even less. In the show, I'm wearing like my long tights, where I'm like completely just Nacho Libre, almost just like trunks over tights. But and people are more openly willing to tell me that I am a piece of shit or really to tear me apart. And they're not gonna do that in high school, but
oh yes, they will.
I guess so.
Just beat their kid, and they'll tell you that shit. He cheated, rap. He's a piece of shit.
Yeah.
So, which do you prefer, face or heel?
It's a hard question, man, because there's obviously it's very gratifying hearing people cheer for you and yell your name and buy all your merchandise and everything. But as a heel, getting people that emotional response out of somebody is so gratifying. But trying to get them to buy your T-shirt after you tell them they're filth and garbage and trash and talk shit about their town and like had people out there like I was having the Squires for a while carry around a bag of shredded paper and just throw it in people's faces whenever they're booing. and like
that's amazing.
Yeah, so
I love that.
There was a short period of time where I'd come out and they'd throw it like confetti as like I walked through it.
Yeah.
And I loved it. And then like whenever I would win, they'd come back out there to put the crown on me and they would just litter that stuff. And like we did it at DWO a couple times, and DWO is like, if it didn't look so good, we wouldn't let you do it because it is a pain in the ass to clean up.
Yeah.
Like literally, like the trainees, everybody's like out there with brooms trying to sweep everything. And there was one night where we did it twice in one night. Where I went and had my match, we did it, and then later I came and I beat up Manny Lemons, and we did it again.
I love Manny Lemons.
I like that guy. He seems like he's a legit good person.
Oh, he really is.
And you're like, oh no, he's the worst.
No.
You're like, and I hate him.
He's honestly like one of the sweetest guys out there. Yeah. He's based out of Salt Lake City.
No, I follow him on Facebook.
He's so great.
Yeah, he is. And he's staying super busy too. And I'm really happy to see it. But he's running Devotion up there in Salt Lake. And
is that Matthew Robles? Promotion
I'm not sure how much MK is involved with it. He may be, he may not be, and that's just because MK has his hand in so many things.
Right, I've heard this.
It's hard to keep. And MK, he's a guy that I've known for a long time, or Matthew Robles, you're saying. But whenever I very first started wrestling, my very first one-on-one match was in Salt Lake City with a company that MK was like working with, and like he was kind of like getting his footing in the wrestling business. He was working with a guy named Concussion out there, and Concussion,
and his manager CTE.
Yeah, but so it was Catholic Festival was the very first like one-on-one match that I had. It was this weird thing. We're in like this like where they have the. It's not like what is Bible school like where they send the kids
parish
off.
hall or what is that called in Catholicism?
Or even just like regular church, like whenever church is going on, they send all like the Sunday school.
Sunday school.
So we're like getting dressed out in like the Sunday school room, like the classrooms and stuff, and we go out there. And I was supposed to be the good guy, and I was wearing a Mexican flag, and the people in Salt Lake City didn't like Mexico very much. So I got a couple of cheers, but I got a lot of like, go back to Mexico.
Oh my god,
that's fucked up.
But I wrestled Mosh Pit Mike, and it was my very first. I was super nervous, and everything ended up going really well. But that was AXW in Salt Lake City. But it was really funny because I was supposed to be the face. I still got the cheers that I was going for, but a lot of people weren't super happy about the Mexican flag.
Oh wow! See, I'm one of those people that I enjoy a heel more than I like. Even when I watch like comic book movies, I enjoy villains more than I enjoy like heroes. For some
it's
reason.
Got to be more fun to play.
It just looks so fun.
Oh,
and you could talk shit to them. I love that.
And everybody always goes, oh, well, who was the best Batman? And I'm like, nobody gives a shit. You put him in the suit, and there's really not much acting after that. It's more stunt work.
Like, look at the Joker.
It's all about the villains. The villains made all of the Batman films.
Right.
They just did. And I
they
mean,
have good
that's
backstories.
yeah.
I'm a huge comic book fan, and like Magneto is one of like
One of the greatest villains
Ever.
If you call him a villain, some people don't.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, it depends who,
The ones that blur that line. I mean,
Yeah.
the Stone Cold Steve Austins of the world. They're like, oh shit, he's doing bad things, but I like it.
Well,
Yeah.
maybe because I am a comic book fan, like whenever I do see somebody doing like a heel or a villain character, I'm like, well, why are you doing the things that you're doing?
Yeah.
You feel that you're doing it because it's right, or because that's what you are, or are you doing it just to be an asshole? And I think that's where you start to figure out where, like, anyone can go out there and just yell "fuck you," and then they're
Right.
like, "Oh, fuck you," or like you can go out there and you can smile in their face and they want to fight you, and like that's like I think like the better villain.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna give Gino props for this. Gino.
That dude is the best heel I've seen
Yeah.
in the indie wrestling.
And I think that he's one of the best up and coming
dang.
from like the area. But I worked with him recently in El Paso, and anytime I've worked with him, he's super clean, super easy to work with. But like the way that he can get people to react,
Yes.
And the problem, I think one of the hardest things about that guy is trying to figure out where the character stops and he begins.
Oh, wow.
Right.
Because he's always on. And so, like, there was a time where I'm just like, man, I want to just punch this dude in the face.
Oh, wow.
And there's videos on Facebook, if you dig into DWO, where Thunder and Gino have a background segment, and they just start throwing punches. And
shit.
so, I think Gino has a way of rubbing people a certain way because he's just such a professional. And then whenever you finally get to meet like the real, you're like, oh well, this guy's like great, and then and then and then you see him back in the other where he's back in character again, and you're like, God, I hate him again. Like,
Yes. Well, I think the great thing about him too is he's a little guy,
yeah,
Yeah.
and a lot of little guys try to they do the high flying, and he does the high flying, but what's great about him is he plays that character where he's like, I'm really small, and I have the Napoleon complex, and I'm going to come out and tell you how badass I am in a way that you're like, no, you're not. And then he's like, I'm going to show you. And then, and you're like, and he's an asshole. And he's that short asshole at a party that wants to fight everybody. And he gets in
We
the
all
ring,
know one.
But then the best thing about him is like say he's like doing the arrogant part, and then they like throw him through the air, and he's like mid-air, and he does the most high-pitched girl scream and lands, and it's the comedy of the it's the exact perfect timing for that.
And that's where I think a big part of people having egos in wrestling is as my king character, I go out there and I realize that if I just go out there, scowl and yell at everybody, I wasn't getting the reaction that I wanted. And so then I started just really like, oh, like you all love me, and then the more people would boo me, I'm like, yes, yes, yes.
You have to. You have to.
And like whenever I'm in the ring, I think that everybody wants to see me look the fool.
Yeah.
And like, so I'm like, that's all they're waiting for.
Right.
So if I can give them that moment, they're like, yes, finally, I want to see him, like, something backfire on him. Like, they've been cheating the whole match. Like, I want to see, like, just something blow up in his face. And, like, I throw garbage all over arenas, all over the country, like, wherever I can. Like, I'll go find a trash can and throw it all over. And the minute, like, I get trash thrown on me, everybody goes crazy.
Oh, sure. Of course they do.
Yeah.
So I want to back it up a little bit. Let's not talk about the ring.
Okay.
Because someone just threw something in the chat here that I want to bring up. I can't believe all this started in your backyard, Mary Mac. So let's talk about the backyard wrestling that you did.
I think most people that if you're a wrestling fan, I mean, you meet up your friends, or you meet up with your friends, and you guys throw each other around, or you get a trampoline somewhere. I think that if you're a wrestling
especially
fan,
now, like these, like when I was a kid, I had a trampoline growing up, and I mean, you would wrestle, but you flew off the sides. Now everybody has this like netting cage, around, which looks like a cage. You know, you're like rage in the cage. You know,
My dad used to make our couches into a little wrestling ring for me and my cousins.
Your irresponsible father.
right?
Okay, to be fair, he was a punk rock drunk
He's
when
like
I was
sliding
little.
a chair in the ring.
Yeah. He's all, here, hit him with it.
Tap,
So was there a backyard wrestling where you and your friends smashed each other with shit?
Well, yeah, and that's why I said, like, if you're a wrestling fan, I mean, you do. And so in Carlsbad, where I grew up, I'm from Carlsbad, New Mexico.
Boo.
Wow.
Wow.
Cavemen suck.
Oh, man.
Just kidding.
Why are we getting the hate for the cavemen?
I'm from Clovis.
Well, okay.
Yes.
I thought Artesia was the only one that hated us.
No,
but-
I'm just messing with you. I don't care. I just wanted to
No. But I'm from Carlsbad, New Mexico, and there's a couple of people, like friends, that we just go, mess around on the trampoline, and then like a couple more friends started coming over, and a couple more friends, and then like we started doing like crazier stunts, and then it became a full blown like backyard wrestling thing, and then we were just kids in high school, and then eventually whenever we graduated, my buddy Kyle Hawk,
You did it in college?
No. My buddy Kyle Hawk at the time, he was living here in Albuquerque, and he had started training with a couple of guys around here, and so I got a chance to come and like see what it would actually be like to learn like the actual art of wrestling, and I thought that I knew. I thought I knew like baseline because I was a fan.
Yeah.
I had like thrown some people around, thrown some people through some tables, and like I just thought I was like, oh shit, all I gotta do is get the costume, and I got it, and I knew nothing, and I want to put that out there for anyone who may be watching or may be listening. If you are backyard wrestling. It's super dangerous, and I should have never done it whenever I was a kid. It's something that may be fun, but the risk is not worth the reward. Find a reputable school. Most schools will start training you as early as like 15, and you can start learning to roll around. You can start learning, wrestling psychology, and you can learn how to do it safely. And I did a lot of backyard wrestling in high school, a lot, and I'm just very lucky that I was never permanently injured.
Did you ever get hit with a light bulb?
Did a lot of really stupid stuff.
I've never been hit with a light bulb,
Yeah.
but I hit someone with a light bulb.
Yeah.
Well, and it is fantastic.
I
Couldn't recommend it more.
I had it happen whenever I was a kid, whenever we didn't know what we were doing, and I've had it done multiple times. I've done lots of light tubes, like in a professional setting, and knowing that the other person on the other end of it knows what they're doing makes all the difference.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, I've never wrestled my entire life, but I've been a fan. I've been a mark my entire life. And I mean, from what I understand from talking to my friends that are wrestlers, I mean, and reading, people's books, you really want to wrestle with somebody who's going to make it look painful and then protect you. All in the same, right?
Right.
Am I wrong? I mean, they'll be like, oh, I liked wrestling that person because you knew you have to trust the other person.
Right. And I don't know if you've ever heard of Schlack. I brought him up earlier, but if you ever look up his stuff, he is. I think that he is going to take the place of like Necro Butcher in that fit of like
because Necro Butcher will be dead.
Well, no, like Necro is having a return right now, but he cemented himself as a legend, and Schlack is like the guy right now.
You've seen The Wrestler,
Yeah.
Whenever Mickey Rourke's character does the hardcore match,
Yes.
that's Necro Butcher, and like that dude literally like that's what he does is like those where they're like he goes in the back and they're like using pliers to pull tacks out of his body.
That's crazy.
Like, oh God.
So I was enslaved to the death match last year, and Schlack was in my match. And like I'm like looking up some of his stuff, trying to do some research on him, and I'm like, motherfuck, this guy is like intense. So like leading into the match, like I am just like getting in my head, and I'm like, I just see all these things he's done, and I'm like, oh God, he's gonna just destroy me. And I'm like, I'm just gonna have to go out there, I'm just gonna have to like lay it back into him, and I'm just gonna have to like make sure not to look like a punk. And he was just probably the most professional out of anyone that I've ever wrestled, as far as just like, a respect in the ring and everything. We did some crazy stuff, and he definitely tore me up. But like, he wasn't out there taking any liberties or sending me to the hospital or anything.
Has anybody ever like just like stapled into you?
I've done pretty much. I've done most of the hardcore stuff you've seen. We've done staples, thumbtacks, light tubes.
Okay, like I was trying to explain this to somebody.
one?
Oh, go ahead, yeah.
What was the worst one?
As a whole, I think glass. Just as a whole, anytime there's glass involved, it's always the worst. I actually think that I have hearing issues because of a match that I had with panes of glass. DWO did a death match.
Oh, because of the noise?
Well, I don't know exactly what did it, but there was a match in DWO. There was a deathmatch tournament, and the match was called Pain in the Glass match. And they had these sheets of glass just all over, like they were on the outside, they were inside the ring, and the idea was that if you put somebody through 2 sheets of glass, they were eliminated. So it was a fatal 4-way match. It was Concussion, Rex Reed, Josh Payne, and myself. And I was super early, and it was probably the first time I was really getting to show myself that I'm okay with weapons, because before that I used to really protect and hide the fact I did backyard wrestling because I didn't want it to affect how I got booked.
Well, you don't want to become that stereotype.
Exactly. It's like, oh, he's just a backyarder.
Pigeonholed.
So I kept it as guarded secret for a long time, and I'm a little more okay with talking about it now because I think everybody did a little bit of it. But so in that match, we had been wrestling a little bit, and we're all pretty beat up because it's the second round of the tournament. I grab a sheet of glass to move it, and it breaks in my hands. And they called it against me as one of my one of 2 to my eliminations. And I was super pissed about it. I was like, oh God, now my involvement in this match is gonna be limited because I already have one against me. Anyway, we go through the match. Later on, Josh Payne he wears me down, puts my head on a chair, and gets a sheet of glass, and he slams it on my head.
Oh shit!
And whenever it hit me in the ear, the glass shattered. I don't know if it's the sound or glass actually in my ear. Ooh. But ever since then, whenever people are talking to me, I'm like, huh? What?
Wow. Fuck, dude.
Yeah, and I think that had an effect on me from there, but I was super disappointed, because my hearing got messed up, but I was super disappointed because I wasn't able to continue in that match.
Oh, that sucks.
But every person that came back after that was progressively way more fucked up than I thought they were going to be.
So you were I got out early.
Yeah, well, at first I was like, oh man, that's a bummer. And then this guy comes back and he's like, I don't remember who came back first, if it was Josh Payne or if it was Concussion, but Josh Payne was given a DVD, a Death Valley Driver, through a sheet of glass, and whenever his shoulder went through it, it just completely lacerated his arm. I think it cut either some veins or something in there, and so he's sitting there and just blood is pooling around him. And he's trying to hold pressure on it, and people are we need to take you to the hospital, and he's okay, everyone just calm down. And he's the most calm person while everybody's freaking out. He's just get me wrapped up and we'll get this figured out. And so wrapping him up, trying to keep pressure on everything. Then the next guy comes in and he was powerbomb through it, and his back is just ground beef, from the glass just tearing him up.
God
and so at the end of it, I was I got a couple small nicks on me. I was maybe I
once again. What's wrong with you?
What's wrong with you? What is wrong with you?
What is wrong with you? That's crazy. So, okay. Singapore cane, does it hurt?
Oh, yeah. And belts, straps.
Oh, yeah.
And, those get a lot of really good reaction. Those can definitely smart the Singapore cane.
I mean, the trash can makes a lot of noise, but I assume it doesn't really.
It'll rattle you. Yeah. I mean, mostly anything that you're getting hit in the head with is going to, rattle you a little bit.
I always loved the Singapore cane. If anyone knows what we're talking about, they take bamboo, basically, cut it the same size, and then just wrap tape around the handle like it's a sword, and then some tape around the other end. And then when they hit someone, I mean, I'm sure it stings, but it makes a nice, loud noise.
It really, jars your teeth kind of. But one of my most recent favorite moments with the Singapore cane is they had Raven at a DWO show.
I was there.
Yeah. And do you remember whenever he started hitting the security with so that was not talked about beforehand. And one of them was actually Mr. Happy. He's just now starting to get into the wrestling business, and I think the bearded lady was also one of them.
Oh yeah.
And so these guys were training with DWO school,
and they're getting they're learning
right.
Dues,
Well, Mr. Happy goes over there and he's like, okay, I gotta do everything I do. And he's so focused on trying not to mess it up, and the next thing you know, he just gets cracked with a cane. And he's like, oh. But then, he said, he's laying there and he's like, whoa, Raven just hit me with a cane.
Oh yeah,
God.
Yeah, Raven. Yeah. I mean, because the better one would be Sandman for me.
Yeah,
Sandman was the Singapore cane guy, but Raven would definitely be up there too.
I mean, a hardcore legend, somebody that you grew up
watching.
Absolutely.
Which watching Raven move around the ring, I was like, he's not gonna wrestle, and then he came out, and I was like, ooh, yeah, he's had some, yeah. He did not move around the ring very well.
Oh man,
I noticed. I was like, So we're at the end of the first hour. So we're gonna promote. Ray's gonna stay with us for the second hour for sure.
Yay.
You guys should stick around because maybe Holly might do some chops.
Oh, no, I'm
Yes.
definitely going to do some chops.
Billy's gonna join us for the second hour. This has been great. I mean, I really enjoyed it. So, do you have like a website or Facebook page? Or?
Just most social media you can find me on, and it's pretty consistent across. If you look me up, Ray Basura, I'm on Snapchat, I'm on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. You can look me up anywhere, Ray Basura. YouTube, you can YouTube Ray Basura.
His character's the Trash King, and he'll be on Travels with My Father. On Netflix starting this Friday.
September 6th.
That's
Awesome.
amazing, dude.
Yeah.
I'm
so
so
cool.
excited. I mean, that you've got to be excited. Your family's got to be excited.
I'm super excited, and it's really cool getting an opportunity to talk about it now because whenever we actually filmed this back in February, and it was back in January, I think, is whenever we started interviewing for it. So it was a long time where I wasn't able to really talk about it, and like for Party Hard Wrestling, I'm sure that was hard for them too. Yeah, because they were just like, we have something big coming, something exciting. But
We can't
talk
say
about
anything.
it. But
So Jacob, I can't Esperance.
the bearded lady.
He says, "Happy getting smashed with the cane by Raven is one of my favorite experiences so far."
That's the bearded lady.
Is that how do you say his last name? Okay,
I just don't. I don't say it.
Just
Yeah.
Let's see. That's awesome, man. So, Holly, what do you got besides your open mic that we're gonna go to after?
We're going to go to, after this, at 8 p.m., head over to Inside Out. We're going to have chicken nuggets there tonight because all the nuggets. There's also a nugget playlist about nuggets. I don't know. Because we're crazy. Royal will be there. Everybody will be there.
nuggets.
All the nuggets will be there. But even more than that, I was saying how I can't go to the Fozzie show because I am roasting the mayor of Albuquerque and and New Mexico. It's the roast of the land of entrapment on September 22nd with Albuquerque Entertainment Magazine.
Not the mayor of downtown.
Not the mayor of
Mayor of
downtown.
Albuquerque.
The actual mayor of Albuquerque. I'm going to roast him. Also, if you're listening to this, please send me things you want me to bring up to the mayor because that's in a couple weeks. I'm a little bit nervous.
Oh, you'll do fine.
But that's all I have coming up.
That's it, huh?
That's it.
We have James. You got anything?
Nope.
Billy, you have anything coming up besides Night of Living cover bands?
October 5th, Dialogue 3-year.
October 5th, Dialogue's 3-year anniversary. Will it be Bellama?
Yes.
Yeah, Bellama. So that you didn't have it's fine. I got it. October 5th, Dialogue. We have a show on September 29th at Safe House Distilling, and I believe it's going to be at 1 p.m. in the afternoon. So, yeah, that's our next live experience out. If people are like, I want to go see you guys live, come out to Safe House Distilling, 1 p.m. September 29th. So,
Awesome.
I think that's it, right? Is that all? Then you can check us out on tendrinkminimum.com. Actually, our live show is streaming there right now. We have a beer that is called 10 Drink Minimum Brown Ale, and it is at Dialogue Brewing right now. Go there, check it out. James, me, and Billy helped make the beer.
Yep.
Wow.
So go check that out. It's amazing. Dialogue Brewing is amazing.
Yeah, it is.
It's a great place to go hang out. And we do shows most Sundays, 6 to 8 p.m. on facebook.com/10drink. And everybody's running to the bathroom, I think.
Yes.
So James and I will take the show off. It's all right. But yeah, we definitely drink. We do the show. You should as well. But always remember, never get too drunk to jerk. 10drinkminimum.com.
He said,
throw the sheets in the fire,
and then
grab a rag from the glove box in the car,
to fold them,
wipe the top of everything you touched.
then I said,
I can be the one to take the fall.
do yourself a favor, begin to talk. He was there from the start. He knew your life and changed the moment he arrived. You're not safe with him. You know you have seen what he's capable of. He will do this again. A trail of blood has made his actions all his. He said,
We'll be married in the fall.
and then
Begin a life we had dreamed of after all.
we fooled them.
And why are you the one that we caught?
Then I said,
I can be the one to take the fall. By all accounts, you had built towers and layers. Not a hero was saved. On appearance of souls by your subjects, steal your thumb. Don't you come this way. What's the use of fire if you can't burn a sea for all to claim? My fate was not the same as everyone is slave. Hear the word of what you earn. Your friends turn fickle, you're to blame. The envy veers to jeers as the glass they throw it breaks. Walk this way. Was I that incommodious? Can I plead to keep my head? My fate is not the same as everyone a slave. By all accounts, she cursed the sky, the crowd, the ground. Didn't say your prayers. You were the king who walked on shards of jars that held your people's fate. Now here is my mind will be clear before my head. strong. There was no use crawling to your step. I'm speaking of wishes, more than days. They could be better. Don't assume that I'm just way high. The world's apart, and I wanted to save a portion for us. What could be better? How do you do that? Till the place on, I'm back to my dream started. One day next to your skin, I'll chase it all, chase it all. Was it you? Your face is red as your hands. I've got time to forget the end. I walk with you to the corner of Richmond. Your apartment's nice, similar what we all the years that I kept away strong. There was no use crawling to your step. I'm speaking of wishes, more than days. They could be better. Don't assume that I'm just way high. The world's apart, and I wanted to save a portion for us. What could be better? How do you do that? To the place on, I'm back to my dream started. One day next to your skin, I'll chase it all, chase it all. You hear that sound? It's the sound of you taking me back. Your eyes say no, that look is mine. The pattern said for an asshole right in your ears. Come on, just a slice of what we had. Just the same, but you're rather be a kind of ghosts floating in a maze of my demise. Had to set for a second time machine to take me to the dawn of when we met. Chase it all, chase it all. You hear that sound? It's the sound of you taking me back. Your eyes say no, that look is mine. The pattern set for an asshole right in my ears. Come on, just a slice of what we had.
I sold my soul to the bottle. Still none of my friends have left me yet. I'm the same man I was since the age of 13, and I live my life with no regrets. If you're looking for some freedom, all it takes is 10 drinks minimum. If you're looking for rhyme or reason,
was that?
Wow.
Wow.
Oh, sorry about that.
Okay. It's one of his glasses hit the microphone. I was like, what in the fuck was that?
That sounded scarier than
Yeah.
what it was.
Welcome back.
Welcome to the Wavy Hour. We've added Billy. Let's see
Here.
if he's on the mic.
Welcome to the Wavy Hour. It's your boy Billy Belmont. I'm glad to be back for the be here for the second hour.
Hi, Billy.
Hey,
Yeah.
So Chris during the break pretty much goes out and is like, "What the fuck were you, dude?"
I didn't say it bad way, though. Yeah.
You know,
This
we-
is happening a lot to me lately. I don't know. Am I blacking out?
I heard some slapping. I heard some crying. I
Yeah.
don't really know what was
Yeah,
said.
it was intense out there.
He's like, I texted you. I was like, no, you didn't. And he's like, yeah, I did. And I go, yeah, you did. Yeah. I don't know. I was still traumatized. I have to tell a little bit of story. So we're in the Wavy Hour. I mean, we have with us for the Wavy Hour. We have pro wrestler Ray Basura. He's going to be he wrestles all over the Southwest. I assume
West Coast.
West
I'll
Coast.
really
Really?
anywhere that I can. Yeah.
anywhere they'll book you.
Yeah.
Basura sounds like some kind of like mythical creature.
It means trash.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Ray Basura, loosely translated, is Trash King. So the Trash King Ray Basura is the Trash King.
Oh my god.
That's like your
Holly and I have our way of saying trash, like men
Yes.
who are trash.
Yeah.
Trash.
Trash.
I was gonna say your girlfriend probably loves him now. She's like, he's the trash king. Trash.
Trash.
My
So-
liege, but thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you guys for having me.
So I have some stories because I went. Oh, it's Labor Day weekend, so I took a group of our friends to Cloudcroft, New Mexico, to hang out with my parents. So I have a couple stories I just want to tell real quick, real fast, get them out of the way, and then we can get into the crazy shit we're gonna probably get into here in a little while. So, I've lived in Albuquerque now 11 years. How long? No, 12 years. And I grew up in a small town. I grew up in small towns, all over New Mexico. But living in Albuquerque, you kind of like, after so many years, you kind of adapt. You get your friends, and then you go back to these small towns. And we also do this in Albuquerque as well. So you kind of notice people stare at you. Because you're like big city people, and they're like, what the hell's, who's these people, And we're downtown people, and so I took a whole group of crust punks to stay with my parents.
Crust buns. What is that?
Crust punks?
Yeah.
Oh my God, you don't know what
Well,
that
they're
is.
technically not crust punks. They're just more of like
Okay.
just punk kind of
They mostly like metal.
metal, yeah.
Yeah.
Hardcore metal. Crust punks are like a cross between hippies and like metalheads or punk
Yeah.
rockers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, ever heard of the term ogle? The guy with the dreadlocks with the dog with a little like handkerchief around his neck.
I
smell-
know that person like visually, but I didn't know there was a word for it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there's a
like
word.
crust punk.
So-
Like has like a vest with like a shit ton of patches and just
Yeah. So
I'm pretty sure at any point you could hit them in the chest and they'd be fine.
So we go to this bar in Cloudcroft, New Mexico called the Western. We walk in, and the whole place is completely covered in dollar bills where people have written on with a Sharpie and stapled it. Like there is almost no surface not covered by a dollar bill.
Is
So
it right next door to a liquor store?
Yes.
I've been there.
Yes.
Yes.
So we go in there, and immediately, like, first of all, they have we were going to go there anyway, but we heard live music. And my parents live in the town of South Park. It's called Cloudcroft, New Mexico. And we could hear it from, like, these guys have been there. You guys have been there. So
Yeah.
we can hear it from their house. So we walk over there. We walk up, and there's a full band out front playing with the police who have put a police line around for the audience. And there are 3 people watching the band as they're playing the Steppenwolf covers.
There's like 5 people in the
Yeah.
band. There's more.
And so we go inside, and we're like, hey, let's get a drink, and then we'll go outside and watch the band. Well, we can get a drink, but we can't go outside and watch the band. It's not allowed.
Wow.
So it's stay inside and watch the band. So there's all kinds of like small town characters. There's the 2 cowboys playing pool that seem to be upset with us for no reason whatsoever. There's the 2 guys that are like kind of husky, but they dress really nice, and they have 2 really attractive women that are way attractive than they are. But like these are the 2 rich guys in town, so they they got the 2 hot girls.
That oil money.
Then several people who are like, and it's not an oil, it's a tourist town, and then like several middle-aged people who have middle-aged badly.
Do you have
They middle-aged badly.
Middle-aged badly. So at one point, one of the cowboys playing pool is not. He just can't wrap his head around A, Sabrina, B, Ian, and C, Courtney. I mean, everybody's wearing black but me. I'm wearing red. So it's like everyone in black, me in red. And he just keeps looking and I'm watching because I'm one of those people that I know to walk into places and always be, I mean, we're from Albuquerque, always be attentive to like what's going on. And so sooner or later the guy's like, and he fucks it up. He's like, what y'all doing? And they're like, I'm sorry. I was like, where y'all from? That's what he says. So then, as they're putting the dollar on the wall with the pentagram, stapling it,
Oh, goodness.
they're like from Albuquerque. And so he's fine. So then out of nowhere, this man walks in, cargo shorts, t-shirt, beard, and hair kind of like mine, sits at a table across from us, puts his arm on the table, never drinks, never looks away from us. Like he's staring dead at us. And I mean, he's serial killer staring at us. And Courtney and I are talking about things that are going on. So I finally just never break as we're talking, and I keep doing this with my hand. I'm like, hold on a second. So do you see the man to the left of my hand that is staring at us like we are going to be killed tonight, and he is the one to do the job? And I never break the same conversation. And she's like, yeah. And she kind of looks around. And she's like, oh my God. And then finally, after 20 minutes of staring directly at us, he never breaks, never goes to get a drink, nothing. Finally walks out. And so we mix more in our crowd, and then someone walks up and they go, God, did you see that guy giving us the fucking death stare? And I was like, thank you. I saw it too. So then finally we go to leave, and he's outside.
What the fuck?
And everybody goes, oh shit, there he is. Because we've been talking about him. And he gives us the death stare again. Nothing happened. But man, I think what he wanted for us to do is for one of us to walk up and go, hey, why do you keep staring at us? You got a fucking problem? He was trying to start a fight.
He wanted a fight.
He wanted that movie moment.
Oh, yeah. So then the
What are you
next...
city slickers doing here?
How dare you, motherfucker?
How dare you?
So then the second thing that happened was we left. So we left Cloudcroft. And Cloudcroft is 17 miles from Alamogordo. And we drive in Alamogordo, and some of us got up early and went and ate, and some of us didn't. So we're like, oh, well, we'll get gas, and we'll stop somewhere so you guys can eat. So we stop at this Taco Bell in Alamogordo. And Ian's been he's in the band Russian Girlfriends. He's been in the band Coffin Cats. He's a punk rocker. He has a shirt on for some metal band, and on the back it says, the only thing left is death. That's what it says on the back of it. And I get that. So we're just chilling, having a good conversation. It's Sunday afternoon. Everybody got their Taco Bell.
Wait, can I ask what time it was?
It was about 12:30.
Oh, yep.
That's right
Just
when the
after
church
high.
after
Yep.
church.
Yeah.
Right after church.
You get where I'm going here. So all of a sudden, this woman who I guess had been staring at Dave, our friend Dave, and Dave's the one who doesn't drink, doesn't do drugs, but also draws metal shirts.
Oh yeah, he's a great artist, Dave Jordan.
He notices he's been watching her the whole time, and she all of a sudden walks over and she's like, I just want to let you to know that there's life in the kingdom of heaven.
Oh, no.
And you all need to find Jesus. And then Dave, without missing a beat, you're barking up the wrong tree, lady. Half of us are Jewish. I lose my shit.
Oh, my gosh. So I have a similar story that happened yesterday. Yeah, yesterday or day before. There's a local band that I used to love so much called Moonshine Blind. Mm-hmm. And the back of their shirt says, fuck you, die. It's one of their best songs. And sometimes I just don't even think about where I'm going. And I put on the tank top and I go out, whatever. And we went grocery shopping, Crystal and I, and the first lady that approaches us is like, "Did you know what the back of your shirt says?" And I'm like,
"Fuck you, die."
"What am I wearing?" "Oh, yeah, it says fuck you, die." And she was like, "That is so inappropriate." I'm like, "Okay, cool, fuck you, die." And then this lady comes up and she's like, "I'm sorry to bother you." And I was like, "Oh God, this is about the shirt." And she's like, "It is about the shirt. I'm not going to tell you off." She's like, "I'm a teacher and I work in special ed, and I'm not even kidding. The other lady I work with, we say fuck you, die all the time to each other about other people we work with because they don't understand how hard our job is. Can I take a picture of the back of your shirt?"
Oh, nice.
That's
And I was like, "Okay, sure, no problem." Then we're walking out, and this grown-ass man was like laughing so hard like he's 12, and he's like, "The back of her shirt says fuck."
Oh my God.
And I'm like, "Okay, everybody just chill out." First of all, I have a 3-year-old stepdaughter at home, and when she's old enough to read, I'm not going to care if somebody has a shirt that says something fucked up on it.
Mom,
Like-
Mom, this Oogle was wearing a shirt that said fuck. It's like,
I know.
okay.
It's like, I'm just happy you can read. You know?
Swear words. I mean, because those aren't written anywhere.
They're not written anywhere.
Well, in
like,
the bathroom.
good job. I don't know. I think people are just so judgy about shirts.
I just thought that was fucking hilarious. You're barking up the wrong tree. Half of us
Half
are
of us are
Jewish.
Jewish.
And that was true.
I would like it. I would like it better if it was like, well, listen, lady. The thing is, half of us are Jewish, so don't even worry about it.
There is no hell. Sorry.
It's so weird that you'd say that to me, because hell is just a construct.
Right. and of all places, Taco Bell.
I know.
First of all, let's step up your after church eating.
Yeah,
You know,
I mean, really.
is
Like,
there
you
no-
should go all out.
Yeah, is there no Golden Corral and an Almagordo?
All right.
I mean, come on. Jesus. Or is there no, I don't know.
Jesus.
Chili's. I know there's a
Are you?
Chili's
Is
outside.
that a question to Jesus? Are you expecting an answer with that?
Well, dear baby Jesus, can we get a Golden Corral in Alamogordo?
Can we get a Sizzler?
And if anyone who has gone to church, the only right place to go is Chinese food afterwards.
Yes.
That's all, I mean, that's
Absolutely.
Really, Chinese buffet. I thought that's where all people went after church.
Or Furs.
yeah.
Furs
Oh,
is
yeah.
also good.
I would like to think
Those
that
green beans, though.
anyone who practices
It's all about the okra.
not working on the Sabbath, wouldn't they not try to subject
right,
somebody to?
Well, they don't care about
Yeah.
other races
Well,
working.
here's what I don't get. We went to
I'm just saying.
when you're from another small town, if you're listening to the show, just think of this. We all walked in. We didn't bother anybody. We stayed within our group. We bought lots of alcohol, and we tipped really well. And we didn't do anything that disturbed you, except you didn't like the way that we looked.
That's just the American way, right
And
there.
that's
True. Fair.
and that's so terrible. It's just like,
Trash.
I don't like you people because you look different from me. It's like, okay.
Those people are trash.
Right.
To be fair, have you seen Sabrina?
Yeah. Sabrina, no, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. We all look that way.
Sabrina is beautiful.
Sabrina is one of the people. It's like, oh my god, I see these people on movies and shit, and she's in our bar.
Eh.
Some guy, Peter Gonzalez, says Ray Basura is best part of the show. I agree with that. Ray is great, but fuck you.
Thanks, Peter.
You know Peter?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. And I'm kidding, by the way. Just no, he is great, by the way.
He is
But
great.
I just wanted to get that story out because otherwise I'll forget it. And
So-
jeez, Louise.
Your Netflix show is going to come on this weekend. So your Grace, can I ask when you're on the set for something like this, and say it's basically a reality show, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And so are there retakes?
Oh, yeah. That's a good question.
Good
So
question.
that was one of the cool things about it is I wasn't sure how much reality there was going to be on there, but the chemistry between Jack and his father Michael is pretty organic. It's shocking.
Wow.
And I'm sure that they maybe have some conversations beforehand about how things are going to go, but a lot of the quips that they do back and forth are pretty real and like they happen in a sense. But what will happen was they'll be like, okay, Michael, go stand over there, and we're gonna do this, and just say what you're going to say. And then it's like, we didn't like that shot. Go over here and just rip on him. And so like they're like setting up situations for him, less so like than like telling him what he's gonna say, but they'll like reset the scene, they'll reset it, and then he'll say something different or whatever, and they're just going back and forth with each other.
Okay.
And that was what the really cool thing was, because I expected they were gonna be like, say that again. And there was a couple times where they'd be like, there was a sound, can you repeat that? But it wasn't like
no. And I get that, like doing stuff like this. Like something happens and it comes out, and then they're like, shit. They look at the audio guy and he's like, and they're like, can you kind of try to say that? Like when I first started podcasting, many years ago, like I had none of these people in this room were with me, but like you would start recording and shit would fuck up because it was so much more intuitive than it is now. And there were times where we would be like 30 minutes in, and I'd be like, everything didn't record. It just or it'd crash.
Yeah,
it would crash. So then you would actually like start the show again and try to do the same organic show, almost with the same. Like you're like, well, that was really good what you did there. I liked that. Say that again. So I understand that.
Yeah. And there was a couple times where there was this match. Neil Cutter, he commented earlier. So it's Shane Marvel versus Neil Cutter, and they were doing a hardcore match. So they were doing.
What were their characters called? That's not their characters. Is it?
Shane Marvel and Neil Diamond Cutter. So it's actually even better than it sounds.
We're around the ring. They're coming.
Yeah. So Neil Diamond Cutter and Shane Marvel were in this hardcore match, and so Michael and Jack are up there watching it, and I'm not going to try to give away too much, but like they were just like they're not used to seeing this kind of stuff. Go walk up behind them and just like and like they're watching it, they're just like, what the hell? Like these guys are like bleeding, and like they're just like putting us in like all these situations and stuff. So you definitely watch the show, and like I'm not going to try to give away too much of like the actual story within it, but I will say that with this filming, the stuff that you hear and see between Jack and Michael, I would say is like 80% organic, and then the other 20% is just them staging it for them to have that moment.
They're not a part of it though. They're not like, you guys say this, you guys say this. They're just kind of like, let's throw them in this situation and see how it works out.
And I'm positive there's meetings where they're like, we do have to have a narrative for this episode. It can't just be, but that's where the producers have their piece in it and stuff. And whenever I was working with Jack, he had just come off of working on Jungle Cruise with The Rock, and he was like telling me like all the moves he wanted to try to do, and I was like, you have 6 hours of wrestling training under your belt. Like, I don't know, what we could safely do. And he's like, I want to do the people's elbow. And I was like,
this is the actor, the comedian.
Yeah, Jack Whitehall. So Jack Whitehall's like, I want to do the people's elbow, and I was like, well, how about we do something else? He's like, how about I do the people's knee? And like, so we talk about, and so like we're in the process of like, running through it, and he's like, oh, I'm gonna here, and he gives his mom his phone, and he's like, I want to send this to Dwayne, and so then his mom's over there filming it on his cell phone, and we go through it like during rehearsal, and then like he sends it to The Rock, and like him and The Rock are texting back and forth.
Oh my God. And you're like just fangirling, but you're trying to still be tough. At the same time. You're like, I don't know.
You're like, I see what that text message is.
Well, The Rock doesn't really wrestle as much anymore. He's more of an actor now.
Yeah, but
And inside you're like,
right.
Okay, so Your Grace, I have a question. You when a show like this comes out, and obviously it's reality based. How is it just one day of shooting, or are you talking about like extended days? Because I'm just trying to figure out like how.
I want to know that too.
Yeah, so for our particular one, it was just one day of shooting.
Oh, really? Okay.
But we showed up there super early, and we were there all day. And we had a wrestling show that night. So we only had like a particular amount of time before we had to like go and start getting ready. And I give it to the crew because they are filming us, and then they're going to the locker room, and they're like literally just following the stages of this day, and they are just the best professionals that they could be. I mean, obviously they're filming a Netflix show, but
Sure.
it's just crazy how quick they're like just following everybody around and resetting just while things are going. And we only had a day to shoot everything, and then they were
Wow.
off to go to the next show because they're about to go to do whatever the next thing is, and they were pretty much in a different town like each week, like trying to do like one of these. It's crazy.
That's crazy.
I would have been like, he'd be like, you know what movie I want to do? And they'd say people elbow, and you should have went, you should take a pile driver. And then he'd be like, I don't know about that. And you'd be like, Andy Kaufman did.
I know.
I would just-
Andy Kaufman.
Andy Kaufman
I'm
did.
glad you brought up Andy Kaufman because are you a huge fan of Andy Kaufman?
I am, and I
Because
regret to
I'm a
inform
huge
you
fan of
that
Andy Kaufman.
I didn't actually know much about Andy
Can I get a beer
Kaufman
somewhere?
until the Jim and Andy documentary came
Yes.
out.
Oh,
And
yeah.
then I had to go back and like do a lot more research.
man.
And
Oh.
I realized that I love everything about him.
Yeah, Andy Kaufman was pretty great. So I am a huge fan of him. Kurt Fletcher, who I tour with, he got me into Andy Kaufman, and we are crazy about him. And I was just wondering, like, do people still remember his wrestling? Are people still huge fans of his wrestling
It's brought
and
up
all that
all
stuff?
the time.
It
still.
is.
He's amazing.
And not taking anything away from Andy Kaufman, but I think
Right.
that Lawler really like cemented that whole thing
Yeah.
for him.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
and validated what that was,
Sure.
because otherwise it would have just
Absolutely.
been another
Well,
thing that he was
yes,
doing. Just, like,
exactly.
wanted to-
Honestly, what happened was Lawler, like Andy Kaufman, that's where he got his act from. Was he
Yes.
would watch Gorgeous George, and when he was a kid, and he got it. He was like, I want to get a reaction from the audience. And so then whenever he like got famous, he finally could actually go and do the wrestling thing because he was
Right.
a huge wrestling fan. And a lot of places were like not into it, but
Yeah.
Lawler was like, ooh, come on in. And for years, people actually really believed they was so good. They were so good
Yeah.
together. People really believed they did not like
Yes,
each other.
exactly.
And they were actually really good friends.
Well, and I think, earlier we were talking about how I was like, oh, wrestlers are just comedians and extreme sport athletes. And now that I think about it, Andy Kaufman probably approached wrestling as a comedian, right? He was looking for that
Actually,
audience
you need
reaction.
you need to flip it.
True.
He approached comedy as a wrestling
wrestler.
villain.
Yeah.
He, I think,
But I mean, it went hand in hand, which is interesting to think about.
his style of performing was perfect for professional wrestling
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
he always wanted to get a reaction out of the crowd.
Yeah.
And not necessarily like always laughs. Like he
No.
just wanted to get a reaction out of
He
them.
just wanted any reaction because Andy
So-
Kaufman was crazy.
So you know the Dinner with Andre, like
Yes.
the movie. So there was an actual thing done that was called A Dinner with Blassie, and it was Classy Freddie Blassie and Andy Kaufman, and
Yes.
they recorded it because he was such a fan. Like,
Yes.
do you know who Gorgeous George was?
Boxer?
No.
No.
Nobody here knows who it was. So Gorgeous George was pro wrestling in like the 50s. Everyone looked the same, and it came out, and there was like crazy Russians, crazy Iran, all the evil people, and then the good guys came out, and they almost looked exactly the same. Gorgeous George came out, and he pranced, and he wore bobby pins, and he threw them, and this is in the 50s, and he threw them, and he had a cape, and he had a valet, and he acted very gay.
Well,
And people
good for him
flipped
for
the
like
fuck
Go,
out.
Gorgeous George. Go,
George,
Gorgeous
yeah.
George.
But it was like the thing. Like there was like he immediately people were like, boo! You're like fuck
Yeah.
this guy, and he was like throwing bobby pins, and he was like they were he had hairspray, and they were sprayed into his hair, and he would print.
Yeah.
I would be a
preen.
kid if I were in the 50s. Be like,
Yeah.
that's what I want to be.
But I mean,
Smokes.
think about that. I mean, like that is like wow. Like people are like,
Yeah.
yeah. So what? So what now? So
Back then, though,
he-
it was crazy.
He probably got death threats daily.
oh, I wouldn't
yeah,
be
yeah.
surprised.
The flamboyancy of wrestling sometimes is one of the appeals, like to me, which people wouldn't realize with like my character. But I love flair. Like whenever I
Yeah.
see somebody's character, like with like sequins on it or like sparkly gold, like all that stuff, I'm like, man, I wish that I had done a different character all along.
Adrian,
I have a
Adrian
question.
Street. Oh, go
Oh,
ahead.
I have a question. Now that you're bringing up the flamboyancy, you know who Joe Rogan is.
Oh, sure,
I'm
yeah,
sure. In his last stand-up special, he kind of makes jokes about wrestling. I don't know if you saw it.
I did
but
not. Yeah.
He talks about how, it's a bunch of guys being thrown around in a ring
Oh,
in
yeah, he
underwear
says-
and
yeah,
all this
yeah.
stuff. And he was like, look, if it was outside of wrestling, you would think this is gay.
Yes.
How do you feel about that?
I've heard it all, over the time, and like sometimes even from people close. The guy who actually made my gear, he told me professional wrestling is for fighters who can't fight and actors who can't act.
Oh, rude! So rude.
Oh, wow.
But whenever you hear
So
something like that,
rude.
it just makes me laugh. You know,
Right.
just because they don't know what it is. But,
They don't get it.
But you could take that same thing and apply that to MMA, which Joe Rogan is like. You have
Exactly.
these guys in the same outfit,
Yeah.
no shoes on,
Right.
yeah, and like.
And to be fair,
Yeah.
he wasn't being mean.
No, no, no,
like
no, no,
he
but-
literally was like, "Look, I'm not attacking them. I'm just saying."
Right.
No,
But also, you're right. Joe Rogan does MMA stuff, and I feel like MMA is way.
They get down on, when they get down on top of a guy. I
Yes.
mean,
If there was a
it's-
Gorgeous George for MMA or like UFC, I'd be like, that's
Oh,
my
yeah.
dude.
Literally,
Yes.
if there was a Gorgeous George of the UFC,
Yeah.
that guy would make
I-
millions
So much
and
money.
millions and millions.
I've
So
heard,
much money.
I've heard the story that they're making a documentary about a guy when I was a kid who was a wrestler, and I've never said this name on this show, but recently I looked him up and I wanted to go back and because I was thinking the other day about after we talked, I was thinking about just like people who got such a reaction, and
Yeah.
there was this wrestler from Britain, and I didn't even remember him being from Britain when I was a kid, but he is, and his name was the adorable Adrian Street.
Oh, the
So good.
adorable.
And you have to go and watch if you listen to the show, go and watch his matches. And this is in the 80s, mid 80s. And he would come to ring and he would have women's makeup on and he would have his hair in ponytails and he would come out and he would prance around the ring and then he would go up and he would run away from the other wrestlers, and then whenever they would turn around, he would run up and he would kiss them.
Oh.
And people got fucking
Why would you get so
But
weird?
also not
Riots.
consent, but I'm here for it.
Did
Right,
people
right.
consent? No.
Right. But then, you got to realize, there's some wrestlers who've been stabbed multiple times by fans.
Oh,
So-
shit,
What?
really?
Oh, yeah. Big time. That's, well known. There's, like Roddy Piper, I think, got stabbed multiple times.
I think so. Yeah.
And you have to
But
understand.
why?
Because people get worked up.
Invested, I guess.
well,
people get invested.
I wrestled in Mexico, and
Mexico's a big one.
yeah, and so I'm down there, and this is Reynosa, which is a border city.
Yeah.
The company's called War City Lucha because the city is like a cartel town, and
Ooh.
and so this guy in the audience, I'm out there trying to get people riled up, but I don't really speak much Spanish. So I'm saying whatever I can to get them riled up. And then, so Mosh Pit Mike and I were tag teaming, and so Mosh Pit Mike and I take an American flag, and we start saying the Pledge of Allegiance in Spanish. Oh! And that got him riled up. And so then this guy, I can hear that he speaks English, and he's like, so I go up to him, and I was like, great, I got somebody going,
Somebody
and
to
I can
play with.
communicate with.
Yeah.
So I go up to him, and I'm like getting him going, and he's like mouthing off, just going a million miles an hour. And so then I tell him, I was like, if you're so tough, why don't you just jump this barricade right here? We can
fuck.
settle this. And so we're probably about as far he could never touch me ever. And I'm like, go ahead, hit me. And I'm like telling him, hit me. And there's no way he could ever touch me. So he just hops the barricade. I slid in the ring and I told security, get him out of here.
Nice.
And
Oh, wow.
so I was like, I did not expect that guy to jump the barricade.
Oh, yeah. You got them lurked up.
We finished the match, and I'm in the back, and I'm like talking to people, and then some guy taps me on the shoulder, and I look, and it's the guy.
Oh.
And I'm like, okay, here we go. And I'm looking around to see okay, is Mosh near, or my people close by,
Yeah.
because if this pops off, this is gonna get messy. And the guy's like, oh, that was so good. I love that man. And he's like, I lived in Arizona, and completely different. And I was like, oh, thank
Total
God.
mark. That's great, though.
Oh my gosh. But that would be
I was
scary.
ready. I was like, okay,
That'd be
this
a
is gonna
little
go
scary
down.
though, just to be like, oh, it's you. Oh no.
Yeah. Do you ever? So this kind of plays into that. So outside of outside of the ring, like you're just out, like you and I met like at one of the bars.
Yeah.
Inside
Outside
Out.
of that, like, do you just have people come up and they're just like super infatuated?
Yeah, and like that's the thing too, is that they a lot of times have either seen me in Brute 66, and I will admit that the Ray Basura that you saw in DWO is actually a lot closer to like me as like an actual person than
Yeah.
the Trash King is. But there's a lot of times where people have only known me as the Trash King, and people will walk right up to me, and actually maybe even the opposite of what you're saying, the fashion, they don't even know who I am. I'm like,
I saw you walk into that Inside Out, and I was like, that's Ray Basura, I think. But you'd grown your hair out more.
yeah,
And I was like, I'm pretty sure it is because your hair's longer.
yeah, much longer.
And I was like,
Well, and I came in that night, and it was the same thing where Chris is like, do
I
you
think
know
that's-
who that is?
I think that's the Trash King.
No,
story.
he had already sat down when you had said that, because you had already talked to him. And so I'm like, who's this guy that Chris
Yeah.
is talking to? And then Chris is like, don't you know who that is? And I'm like,
Thunder.
no. And he's like, that's the Trash King. That's Ray Basura.
That's the goddamn.
Oh my God,
And I was
Holly,
like,
I'm
excellent.
so embarrassed for you that you didn't know that was the Trash King.
Oh my gravy.
I was at a show, and this guy was wearing one of my shirts, and I walk up to him. I was like, "Cool shirt, man." He goes like this. He goes, "Like, thanks,
Oh.
dude." I was like, "Wow."
You don't
All right,
know
then.
shit, bro.
Yeah. Like they kind of just like.
First
like,
of all,
whatever.
this isn't for you.
Yeah.
Keep going. Just walk along,
just
sir.
keep walking.
I get a lot of hate messages too, like just
Oh, gosh.
randomly.
Why?
Like, just because like I'm an
He's a
asshole.
villain.
I
He's a
go,
villain.
yeah, I go, I
but
go
I
around.
love villains.
Yeah, I go around getting people riled up, and it'd be like something fun, like, "Oh, we're here at Inside Out having a drink," and they're like, "I hope you choke on it."
Dude, that's amazing.
It's so cool
You're like-
because
and then you're like, I'm doing it.
Yeah,
I'm doing good. So my favorite thing is like I can relate to a little bit because I am this stand-up comedian that, I talk about drinking a lot, and I talk about how I hate men sometimes because
Men are trash.
men are trash.
But
and
also, we're talking to the Trash King.
we're talking to the
you're
Trash
like,
King. He's king of trash.
on the trashiest apparently.
But I get so many angry messages for no fucking reason. I'm just like, okay, cool. Like, you're going to stand up for a guy who accused me of stealing his remote. Like, cool,
and
dude.
we probably both get dick pics too.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Don't get me started.
All the dick pics.
But
Yeah.
the thing is that at first when I got hate mail, I would get so wounded. I'd be like, oh my God, these people hate me. And now I'm just like, you're just sad about your baby dick. It's fine.
What back to the earlier question you guys asked about, like
Oh,
how I feel
sorry.
about what Joe Rogan said, or like what people
Yeah.
say. I don't care. You know,
Right.
it's like
Well.
everyone's like allowed to have their opinion of
Sure.
whatever,
Yeah.
and,
And
it's
they
just-
will. And they will.
Yeah.
So first of all, my friend Amy told me to tell you that she bought your shirt, loves you.
Oh.
Yeah.
Second of all, there's a chat item I would like to talk about. here.
Okay.
Yes, please do.
Someone wrote in the chat, as someone who spends time with Ray outside of wrestling, I can
Aw.
confirm that he often gets approached by fans in random places.
Oh.
Once we were in Las Vegas at an escape room, and we were approached by fans from California.
Yeah. So
Who is this person?
well.
I'm just kidding. I'm sure it's your girlfriend, right?
Yes, it is. That Valeria Garcia. That's my girlfriend.
Oh, no,
but
no, that's
Aw.
not the name.
It is not.
No, I'm just kidding.
Oh,
That's-
I was like, oh, must be my
Your other
Sasha.
girlfriend.
Yeah, my other girlfriend.
Oh, that's my Rook.
Yeah.
That's my other girlfriend.
But yeah, so getting stopped in Smiths and stuff, like of course, like they see me from DWO, but that one was super random because I wrestled in Vegas lots of times, but they had not seen me wrestle in Vegas.
Weird.
And they had seen me wrestle in California.
Yeah.
But I do a lot of escape rooms. We were out there. They have a Saw themed escape room, which I can go on about.
I,
Which
you
is
know, I
super
saw
cool.
I saw the pictures about it.
Yeah, it's so
I
cool.
I didn't go because I was by
Yeah.
myself, and I was like, I'm not gonna go by myself to an escape room.
It's so much fun. But like I saw these guys wearing wrestling shirts. I think it was like Young Bucks shirts, and
Oh, nice.
and so I started
So-
so I started talking to him about wrestling, and then he started giving me like this look, like this like side eye, and he's like, "Are you the Trash King?" And I was like, "Yeah."
Aw.
And he's like, "Whoa!" He's like, "We saw you at the Crimson
Trash.
Cup," and they were actually there the night that I tore my ligaments, and they
Oh,
they still
wow.
remembered. Yeah, but Yeah, that was really cool. They had seen in California, but I'll go all over and just the most random people will say they saw me at this show years back, and I was like, and we just have
You
it's
beat
really
up
cool.
our favorite wrestler, so fuck you.
Actually, I would just like to be a bystander, just like in that escape room, and like somebody's like, "Ugh, I'm sorry, like this is gonna kill me, but are you the trash king?" And be that guy, and,
And then they're like, "Yeah, can you take the poop out of the toilet?"
I probably disappointed them.
I'm
They
sorry.
probably expected me to go in there and just try to knock the door down. They're like, "Yes, this guy's gonna be great."
So are we gonna? So we're in the wavy hour. Are we gonna get this chop? I mean, is this
Yeah.
chop gonna
Yeah,
happen?
Let's
are we
do
ready?
it.
So
I
I just
will
want to set the stage
chop
for anyone
you.
who's just tuning in.
Yeah, we're with Ray Basura, the pro wrestler. He's known as the Trash King.
Yes.
You'll be able to see him on Travels with My Father, which is a show on Netflix. The 3rd season starts Friday.
That is
And
correct.
Holly agreed to chop him in the chest as hard as she can.
As hard as I
the
can.
first hour. I mean, we're not ending the show, but we're just going to do it real quick so we can
I
get it.
want to see
Get
it.
it out of the way.
I'd like
Yeah.
to see this. So,
All right.
So Billy, what do you think is going to happen here? Do you think that Holly is going to get a good
She's not
chop?
gonna hit him hard enough.
No.
Well,
You don't
she's
think-
gonna hit me right in my nose, and I'm just gonna
All right.
bleed for the rest of the.
So hold on, we got this up here. I mean, you're just going to let this happen. You're not going to chop her back?
well, we'll see.
Okay.
All I'm saying, like, Holly, I love you, but you're not going to inflict any kind of
let's
pain
hear.
on
Let's
him.
yeah.
Let's see. What if I cry? You
This
never
is
know.
a first.
Could be-
This is a first for 10 drink minimum here.
yeah.
We're gonna have violence on the air.
All right,
Alright.
I want to see it.
How do
Let's-
we do this? Do we have to
So a
count it
chop is
down?
just like
Have
your
you ever seen
back.
Well,
Ric
I know
Flair?
how to chop.
Yeah. Like,
I'm just saying,
you want
are
a
we gonna
countdown?
count down,
No.
or are we gonna- we're just
No.
gonna
Well,
chop?
here's what I want you to do.
Okay.
I want you to talk a little bit of trash to him, like you were gonna wrestle him, and then blam, hit him with it.
Can't talk trash.
You can't talk the trash.
Oh, come on.
He's the trash king.
You can't do any kind of like promo. You go, you know what I think about
Come
you,
on.
Trash King, and then blam. You wrecked my trailer, and then blam.
Oh yeah.
It's like, first of all, I've been
you
dealing
know
with
what
trash
trash
men
means?
my entire
Oh, yeah.
life. This will make me.
Oh yeah,
this will
All right.
validate
say,
every.
say, this is for all the the trash men out there. Ta.
This is for all the women dealing with trash
There
men
you
out
go.
there.
Oh.
Yeah, there you go.
And then if you ever actually add a ring and be like 1, and you do it again, it's like 2, 3.
Good job. You should be proud of that. How's your hand?
I can you do one more? Can you do one more?
Somebody went
I got
woo.
chills.
Somebody did the woo in the chat. That's awesome.
I now have to go to the bathroom.
Oh,
So-
all
If
this
someone
trash.
has been dealing with trash man my entire life, to meet the trash king just gives me the validation. Just give this slap upon your chest.
So was that a good slap? No. Yeah.
That was better than most fans that I've been shot by. Like you were saying, you know, the times whenever you have your arms pulled back and just like some rando goes for it, or honestly, you know, some guys think that they're really good at it, and you know.
Have you ever had a guy just light you up, man? You're like, holy shit, that guy fucking had it.
Well, there's been a handful of times where that's happened, but like I was saying, I'll give credit to Funny Bone. Funny Bone out of Las
Okay.
Vegas
Yeah,
is
yeah.
probably by far the hardest chopper I've ever come around to. Yeah.
I was surprised by that.
She kind of got it. Well, she didn't get the glancing blow. You know, like when you're a kid and you do that thing where like I don't even remember like what the contest was, but you and your friends would like do something and you're like, all right, hold your arm out,
Oh yeah.
and you lick your
Smack-
fingers and you'd smack.
It's-
It never hurt if you hit them with your fingers, but it hurt if you could do the tips.
Yeah.
Oh God.
And I'm
worse.
just thinking, just in any kind of
Can I have a beer
Like-
while you're walking by?
guess I would love one. Any spectacle that involved just violence, whether it being like fake or not.
Yeah.
I'd be like, no, ow, that hurt. Stop.
Oh,
Why are you doing
I
that?
should have.
The first time you did it, you'd be like, oh, why'd you do that?
Yeah. I always okay. So
And,
like,
and your job is actually to be like inflicted with pain. That's pretty much what like fighting is, right? For sport.
well,
I'm like,
they're
oh, that
trying to
hurt.
actually incapacitate them. Well, not kill them, but like get them to tap out or get them to choke them out.
Like,
Or
it hurts. That hurts.
Well, here's one of those things where I think that maybe it's like those weird things my body's done. I'm not. This is not like an encouragement for everyone I wrestle from here on out to try to hit me hard. But whenever I was coming into to wrestling, we were talking about Daniel Pewter, kind of like this initiation. Well, some of the guys that was coming in, they used to just like chop me all the time. Like if we were in the car, like if I fell asleep, if it was my birthday, they're like, "Oh, here we go, 21 chops," and like everybody like line up.
They play that Green Day song, 21 chops.
And so Chuy Martinez was one of the guys who, the guy who's now Mosh Pit Mike's tag team partner. He coming around, he'd chop us any given reason, like just if we were bugging him, like it was just kind of like, I don't know, toughening us up, making sure that we're actually.
So you're chop calloused.
Yeah, well, I started to learn that if I had less of a reaction, it was less fun for them. So I started to like build up this thing where they chop and I'd be like, ooh. And like the other guy, Kyle Hawk, he'd be like, no, and like they'd hit him and he'd be like, ah, like they'd just like, I don't know, it's like they'd like, ha ha, it's so fun. So then he started getting chopped more than I would, and so then that was just like my I guess the psychological game I'd play is like, oh, it's not fun to chop Ray. Like he almost likes it. Like, it's just
I don't know. It was fun. It was fun to chop
so
you.
You're the fourth wrestler. I forgot. There's a wrestler I forgot about that we interviewed. So you're the fourth wrestler we've interviewed. Now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. One of our friends, Saleh.
Yes. Oh.
Do you know Saleh?
I don't think I do.
So Saleh is Samoan.
Okay.
You know where I'm going with this?
Yeah.
Saleh is related to everybody in professional wrestling.
Yeah.
His uncles are Haku.
The Samoan dynasty.
Oh my.
Yeah.
So he tells stories. We've had him on the show too. And he told stories similar to what you're saying, that this was his life growing up. Mm-hmm. Like he would be at a family gathering and they'd be like, "Hey, how you doing?" Cha!
Yeah.
Right across the chest. Bam! Right across the chest. And I got to, so he was like, "I would like for you to interview one of my uncles." And and immediately I was like, "Which one?"
Right.
And he goes, Tonga Tom.
Okay.
Who was in the original Samoan SWAT team with Haku. Mm-hmm. And it was the weirdest, and I mean, I don't know if it's out there. I'm going to try to clean it up and put it back out there. He was actually broken down on the side of the road on the phone talking to us. Mm-hmm. And he was blown away that I'd seen the movie Body Slam with him in it.
I don't think I've seen it.
No. Okay.
Yeah.
It's him and Roddy Piper as tag team partners versus basically the Powers of Pain.
Okay.
Chris,
And
we're in a different generation. No Hold Bar is pretty much my
this was right around that time.
Really?
Yeah. And Mr. Fuji's in it, and Lou Albano was in it. And so then he was also in the very first part of the movie Highlander.
Okay.
And he was like, you saw that? I was like, yeah. He was just blown away. I knew. And his son is like a indie wrestler now.
Okay.
I'm trying to think what his name is. But he's like super ripped.
Okay.
We'll pull him up. But Solly would just talk about it. He was like, yeah, man.
I have to look
I
at
actually
this now.
do love this like purist, like you ever like basically kids now, like millennials, like, oh yeah, I was really into like the Miz. But now you're like, fuck you.
You don't know shit.
You don't know shit about fucking
there,
punk.
there is a lot of that.
Yeah.
Well, and like, there's a lot of people now that are like, well, John Cena's the best, and I was like, well,
Fuck.
Yeah, I was like, hold on, let's have a conversation.
You weren't there. You weren't there.
Well, I was.
You didn't see Terry Punk power drive Ric Flair through a table, son. Live.
It's like even punk rock bands, like they don't know about like the Ramones or the Sex Pistols. Like you already fucking there.
I used to do youth mentoring, and this kid that I was mentoring, I said something about Stone Cold Steve Austin, and he said, "Who's that?" I said, "You know." Whoa! And I told him, I was like, "Hold on."
Then he went, "I like stunning Steve Austin." You're like, "All right, here we are."
Well, no, I was like, "You've never heard of Stone Cold Steve Austin?" He's like, "No," and I was like, "Never at all." And I was trying to explain to him. He's like, "No," and I was like, "Well, what about
you just punched him straight in the face?
I should have, but the
answer would be kick him in the stomach and
give him a Stone Cold Stunner, but
and then flip him off while his parents watch.
Well, and then the next one was I was like, okay, well, what about The Rock? And he's like, The Rock.
The actor?
I don't know who The Rock is. And I said,
Jesus Christ.
Dwayne Johnson. He's like, oh, the guy from The Fast and the Furious. And I died on the inside, and I was like, this is why I'm mentoring you.
I guess
this is why you needed me.
So hold on, wait a minute. Let's back that up. So why did you die on the inside? Because of the what? The Fast and Furious?
What, does somebody love the Fast
Are
and
you
Furious?
asking me?
Billy and
I
I
hate
are
the
fans of the entire series.
I
hate it.
I mean, Tokyo Drift is the epitome, but
oh my god.
am a purist of the Fast and the Furious. I actually enjoy the catalog.
yeah, right.
Like
We
you're
will.
talking-
Chris and I will
word.
go to every single Fast.
You're
and Furious
talking
movie.
about it like a fine wine, but you're
yeah,
reviewing,
it's like,
but
what-
you're reviewing like barefoot.
The thing is, like,
So
Thank
we
you.
really, we
Yes.
really like these movies, and I think before Billy leaves, we're gonna do a marathon of the Fast and the
I'm here
Furious.
for it.
I'm there for it.
It's got to be a whole
I'll
day.
sleep through it.
Come on.
I'll come, but I'll probably fall asleep.
I mean,
The
the
thing-
first
the thing
one was
is-
about street racing.
And the thing
Apparently
is,
now
like,
it's about espionage.
I wrote a piece about like the best, like top 8. Like the thing is, this is before like they had like.
The top 8. How many movies are this?
Is it like a
Come on.
dozen at least?
No,
There's so
the new one.
many.
So there's 8 of the regular film, and then there's now the offshoot, which is the Hobbs and Shaw.
But
Yeah.
why?
Because they just make fucking
Because
they just
are-
cash money, Holly.
I'm
Yeah.
just gonna do
It's like a
Jim
fine
Halpert
wine.
right now.
It gets better.
It's
This would be our wrestling persona, guys that like Fast and
catalog
Furious.
of Fast and the Furious is what I live for, and I will sit there with a glass of wine.
Oh yeah.
And I'll just watch
Okay.
it, like understanding like the narrative.
Like,
what was
this plays into like there was a character I went with my dad to watch you guys, and there was this guy, and he was the hipster wrestler, and he was a villain, and he had a man bun, and he had a shirt that said "Meat is murder," and then of course he gets in the ring, and he's like, "If you eat meat, you're destroying the planet." You all should die. and like everyone's like, boo! And people got livid pissed and fucking hated this guy. And I thought it was so amazing.
Yeah, and like you have to know your audience, because if you went and did that like maybe in Portland, they'd be like, yeah,
Yes, if you did it in the South, they might kill you.
right.
It depends where you're at. You might be like a favorite or a heel.
Well,
you don't know.
We had talked about the bearded lady, and
Oh, yeah,
the bearded
yeah.
lady in Colorado Springs, or most places outside of Texas, people love it. People go crazy for the bearded lady, but in Texas, that's like the biggest villain.
Oh, yeah.
They're like,
Hey, he's like Adrian Street or like a Gorgeous George.
yeah, exactly. And like I had a conversation about it. I was like, man, if you're in West Texas doing that thing, you better be careful.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like he just got to realize, like, people might stab you outside the ring.
Right.
Have you ever gone out like after wrestling? I mean, is that a thing now where people go out after the match? They go drinking and
Yeah.
then got in a fight.
Well, no, I'm always the guy who diffuses.
Okay.
And that was probably another reason why Mosh Pit Mike and I were a good tag team partner, because he's the guy who punches first.
Yeah.
So I was able to see his cues whenever he was getting to that point where he was.
I could see that.
Yeah, where he was getting annoyed enough with this guy. He had this smile that he'd get, and
Yeah.
he'd be like this. He'd be like,
Oh, yeah.
and he'd start nodding like, mm-hmm, yeah.
Yeah.
keep saying. And I was like, oh man, he's about to punch this guy. And I was
He's
like, hey,
about to
man,
kill that
like,
person.
I was like, it's not worth like fighting, like whatever,
Right,
like let's
right.
get. And so like I've always been like a happy drunk. So I've never really had any issues with that, but there was a handful of times where wrestlers that I'd normally go with, where I wasn't there, and I'd hear that they got into a big bar fight and got arrested.
And they love that shit. Well, and the thing that people don't get is like, oh, it's fake. Sure. But they also can take pain really well.
Well, and like we've trained to like essentially like fight,
Well,
and so
yeah,
like
it's
and
true.
I could choke somebody out so fast. I was like, because I know how to get somebody
Yes.
like into these holes.
Well,
Yeah.
and I mean, okay, the one thing like the very inside is like some wrestlers hit hard in the ring, and and then it's called and then sometimes
but they don't hit hard in the sack.
No, so
Probably
also,
not.
Also, there's a thing where like you're trusting each other, but someone's like mad at something that you did, and they call it a potato, and like they fucking will blast you in the face as hard as they can, and then they know that you've got to take it, boom, and then later on you give them a receipt, right?
That's the thing.
So
yeah.
these people take hits. It's fake, but it's not. So you think that you're gonna walk up to some guy that's 6'3", fucking kick his ass because he does a thing that you think is fake, Good luck on that. That's
Right,
fucking the
I mean,
dumbest shit.
I don't know though. I chopped him earlier.
So of course I'm interviewing.
I feel like it was a good chop.
I'm interviewing Tonga Tom, and I'm like, tell your best Haku story.
Okay.
And he tells the story of when they were in the Islanders, and they wrestled Hulk Hogan and Brutus the Barber Beefcake. And he goes, and then we go back to our locker room because in those days the heels and the faces had different locker rooms. And someone came over and they were like, yeah, Brutus Beefcake complained that you guys were hitting him too hard in the ring. And fucking, he was like, what? And Haku didn't say what. He just beelined for the other locker room. And this story, I did not believe this story until I heard it again online a couple weeks ago. He's like, so I chased him down. I get to the locker room, and he found Brutus Beefcake in the shower and didn't choke him, but he had his fingers here on on his neck and had him pushed against the wall. And he's like, you disrespect Haku or disrespect me. And everyone is trying to get him away from Brutus Beefcake, and they can't. And finally, they had to go get Hulk Hogan. And Hulk Hogan came over, and he's like, brother, come on, man. He wasn't like, Hulk Hogan didn't come in and beat his ass. Hulk Hogan came in, he's like, brother, come on, man. This isn't good for business. And finally talked him down because he wasn't kicking fucking Haku's ass.
No, he
And
wasn't.
I was like, he told that story and I was like, wow, that's amazing. I thought he was gonna tell some story where he beat some fucking redneck up in like fucking, Tyler, Texas.
We have these athletes that are from different places all over the world, and different egos, and just you never know. And then so whenever somebody does something like that, or it just rubs somebody the wrong way, and I in the first hour I was talking about Gino's character.
Oh, he gets in fights.
He just you have to try to remove yourself from that because he has a hard time turning that off. But he's one of the best guys back there. He's in a suit, he's so professional. But if you catch him in the suit and have a conversation with him, you realize that if he's in gear, he's on.
I would love to interview that guy. By the way, I think I honestly have taken people to wrestling and said, this is the greatest heel I've seen in person.
Yeah, you definitely keep your eye on that guy.
My other favorites there was a tag team of two guys, and I know they're from California, and they would wear fanny packs.
PP Ray.
They are amazing.
Yep. Peter Avalon is on, he's one of the producers for Championship Wrestling from Hollywood.
Oh, no shit.
And he's also on AEW. He's doing the librarian thing right now. Yeah.
Dude, they were so good, and they would come out in 80s clothing, and they would grind, and they would point out women in the crowd, and they would grind at them, and they were just so fantastic. I couldn't imagine, and they wore glitter, and
yeah, they're still around. They're still doing a lot of work.
I think they are fantastic, by the way.
Yeah, outstanding.
Yeah. So we've got to kind of wind it down because Holly's got a show coming.
I got a show tonight.
She's got a show. So you've got people can find you on all social media.
Yeah, so I'll kind of give you a rundown of some of the stuff that I'm doing right now. For as far as finding me online, you can find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, pretty much any social media. Look me up, Ray Basura, pretty consistent across the board. I got an opportunity to do an episode of Jack Whitehall Travels with My Father, which will be airing on Netflix this upcoming Friday the 6th.
That's dope.
On the 7th, I'm going to be doing a fundraiser here in Albuquerque for Casa Q. That's a organization. Yeah, it's an organization that works with homeless teens and the LGBTQ community. That's going to be at Sidewinders. They're having a wrestle night open to all orientations, but I'm an ally of the community, and the Leather Daddies reached out to me, and they wanted me to host the event, and I jumped on it. I'm really excited about it. Yeah, so I'll be emceeing the whole night, and there's going to be a lot of drinks and prizes and fun. So everybody definitely come out and support that. That's going to be the 7th at Sidewinders. And
the Trash King is not trash.
and then after that, I'm going to be heading up to Colorado. On the 14th, I'm going to be doing Chewy Martinez Strong Style 8 tournament, and that is a 8-man tournament. 8-man tournament. The only way to advance in the tournament is by knockout or submission.
Wow.
Yeah. And then the next night, I'm going to be doing one of the biggest deathmatch tournaments in the Southwest, West Coast area is going to be Slave to the Deathmatch.
I thought you were going to do Yokohama Deathmatch.
No, Slave to the Deathmatch. This is their 10th year, so it's going to be huge. There's going to be fire, barbed wire, every weapon you could possibly think of there. But this is going to be my last deathmatch tournament that I'm ever going to be doing.
He's retiring from the deathmatch. You heard it here first.
Well, as I am starting to sign off here, this is going to be the first place that I've publicly said it, but 2020 will be my final year wrestling. I won't be.
What?
I will not be saying exactly when that will be, but I do have an end date set. I've talked to people and kind of like figured out what my exit strategy is going to be.
Whoa.
But if you get an opportunity to come see a show, please take the opportunity to see it while I'm still around.
Why? Why? Can you say why?
There's a lot of things that kind of go into it, and it's a hard. It's not just like one answer on it, but I did talk a lot about a lot of my injuries through my time.
Yeah.
But no,
I was just like your girlfriend, and be like, "Stop it! Stop it!"
Yeah,
Your face is all swelled up.
No, it's just I think that I'm at a place where I got to do a lot of really cool things, and if I wanted to go to the next level, it would require a little bit more commitment than I think I'm prepared to give. And every time that I'd be wrestling after that, after the exit strategy that I've done, I'm taking a place from somebody who's hungry and trying to get up to that next level.
Shit.
And so there's a lot of wrestlers that will continue to push and continue to do these things, and I acknowledge the time spent and what it feels like to act, or to be there and perform. But I also see it from the outside looking in, and every time those guys are there, these local dudes that are just only do just the small things every time they perform. Unless you're adding to the show, unless you're actually like building and putting asses in the seats, if you're not that person, if you're not a Hobo Hank,
Right.
then you're just taking a spot away from somebody who it could potentially be the next John Cena.
Wow.
Yeah, and I, granted, I like to think that I am a guy that brings something to the show and builds.
No, you are.
But I just don't want to be 40 years old or heck, 50 years old and walking like how you saw with some of these these old guys. So I'm gonna leave on my own terms, and I have an exit strategy plan. So
Interesting.
If you have an opportunity to see one of my shows, I recommend doing it because sometime next year will be my last show.
Wow.
And I won't be announcing it publicly until that show. And whoever is there will know, and then everyone will know afterwards.
You'll be up on the turnbuckle forever. That's a really
Oh God, it's gonna be like the
niche
wrestler.
callback.
Every time I cry when I watch that movie, and then it's gonna be like that. And I cry.
I do not want to be Randy the Ram. So.
Yeah, I get it.
or Terry Funk. That's like
or any of them.
Well, there's a lot that goes into going up to the next level to become a legend, and there's so.
Well, in my mind, you're already a legend.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Well, man, that's.
I have a lot of fun things, a lot of big things that will be coming up between now and then. I do not plan to slow down. If anything, I plan on trying to do everything I can possibly do between now and then.
What would be like a thing you would want to do outside of wrestling? I know we're winding down, but
yeah, well, I do a lot of art. That's something that doesn't hurt my ligaments. That's nice. I also have a really good job, and I'm actually about to start going to school again. A job outside of wrestling.
Nice.
Yeah, and they're going to be helping me get an education. And after high school, I went straight into professional wrestling. And
trash. What are you gonna do outside of wrestling?
Right. So, I'm gonna go to school. I'm gonna work on art. And like one of the little projects I've been working on for the last few years, I've been writing notes here and there. But there's a comic book in mind that I've had like based off of a lot of the characters and people I've met through wrestling. And I kept telling myself for years and years and years I was gonna write it. I was gonna do it. And like finally, I think it's gonna be time to put it on paper.
like this.
And I'm sure that I'll sell tens of them, but it's something just a little project for me.
Putting something out there and people like it.
Yeah.
Something. Everybody. Whatever. You guys know.
Yeah, it
So
works out.
awesome, man. I'm
Awesome.
glad. Thank you for announcing that here. That's really, man. Means a lot to me.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
I just became a huge fan of yours.
Well, it's not over yet.
Like
You know, there's
this
a
year?
there's a good amount of time.
2020. This
Yeah.
whole year.
2020.
And 2020 officially be my 10 years in, and I think that's a good round number. That's another reason why I decided to go
Yeah.
in.
I gotta
Maybe
get the Trash King to roast me before he retires.
Ooh.
You let me know.
I think it'll be
Yeah.
fun.
Holly, other than the thing we're about to go to, what else do you have coming?
Besides the open mic tonight, I have on the 22nd of September, I am roasting Mayor Tim Keller and the Land of Entrapment. So come on out. Also, send me your suggestions for things you want me to either ask Tim Keller or yell at Tim Keller.
Ooh.
And I will do it.
James, what do you got?
As always, you can find me on the second.
You're filming something, but we can't say.
Yeah, I can't
Yeah.
say.
Just so people know, James doesn't just lay around all
Yeah,
day.
no, he's working really hard. He just can't talk about it.
Major movie stars are involved.
You can find me on the second season of
Snatchers.
no, the first season of Snatchers and the second season of Midnight Texas.
Oh yeah.
Very cool.
Billy.
I am Bella Musk playing the October 5th show for the 3-year anniversary of Dialogue.
Ooh.
And also just freaking buy a record on Bella Musk's record.
Yeah. Buy the new record.
It's so good.
We have a beer at Dialogue called the Tin Drink Minimum Brown Ale. September 29th, we will be at the Safe House Distilling at 1 p.m. So come out and check us out, or just watch live online. I don't give a shit. Either way. Or go there and say, hey, I heard that they're going to be here. Let me buy some drinks. And they'll like that too. So
And also, I will give you a hug.
yeah. Most of the time, you can just check us out on tindrinkminimum.com or facebook.com/tindrink. We do most live shows on Sunday nights. It's a holiday weekend. Sunday nights, 6 to 8 p.m., or unless we're out live. So, yeah. And with that, I just want to thank the Trash King for being on the show. It was an honor.
Thank
All
you guys so
hail
much
the
for having
trash
me.
All hail the
King.
Trash King, Ray Basura, wherever he may go. And with that,
We are 10 drink minimum.